Are y'all sure? The way some of you black men are reveling in the fact that Megan Thee Stallion got cheated on is wild and needs to be studied, because I'm still questioning. Are y'all sure y'all really like women? Now, before we get started, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, follow, do all the things. I'm going to talk my shit and have a good time. But let's get into it. The way that I'm seeing grown-ass men go up and excited for the fact that Megan Thee Stallion got cheated on, it's weird. And it's really giving y'all don't like women. The way that I'm seeing men like Lil Duval making posts about it and talking about how Klay, you know, basically is so cool because he got with her so he can get more women, and now she needs to title her next album, I Might Be the Problem. No, it's these men that are the problem, and men like you who dick ride can't see that because you're so busy focused on hoping that these men give you attention, which is why I'm wondering if you really like men. Because the way that y'all want attention from these other men and pats on the backs and kudos and accolades, it's weird. Y'all would rather get accolades from another man than you would from a woman. And it's really given a lot of y'all have mommy issues, and you think because you love your mom, you don't have mommy issues, but what you haven't come to the understanding of yet, because you lack the depth and emotional intelligence to get it, is that you really have love for your mom, but you also resent her. And so when you get excited by women being harmed, that's that little boy in you, that little resentment, because y'all really are mad at her because your daddies didn't do what the fuck they were supposed to do. And you mad at her because you really can't be mad at him. And that's why y'all seek attention from these other men. Because the way y'all perform for these men, when you could really just say nothing, it's wild. Especially when you're damn near 50 years old. And you can pull, well, these people are comedians and they get this and that. There's plenty of comedians not saying anything. It's because you're really a 50-year-old fucking child. That's why you're still in a little boy's body. This is why, you know, you're still 50 damn near calling yourself little. Because that's a little ass mindset. And it's really weird because when you're 50 and you're excited about a 31-year-old woman being cheated on and you're damn near 50, it's very odd. Like, you literally could have had her in high school and have been a parent to this person. And you're over here making fun of the fact that she was cheated on. And you need to really wonder why. And this is why y'all continue to date all these women, you know, like with people who y'all have an abundance of women around you, women who wouldn't give you the time of day if you weren't who you were. But you have those abundance of women because you're really not happy with yourself. And so you are looking for some satisfaction in having a whole bunch of women because it makes you feel like a man.
Black men have for black women better than Kevin Samuels. Klay Thompson has exposed the absolute hatred black men have for black women better than Kevin Samuels did. He has exposed them to a depth that I don't think we were even ready to handle. I've been saying for at least 3 years now, maybe longer, that this is a season of exposure. And you know, seasons can go on for generations. And this is somehow worse. And we all know how bad Kevin Samuels was. And then to hear his supporters still to this day, well, you know, when he first started, he was on the men. Yeah, but the men didn't make him any money. So he got on women and never let up. He got worse and worse as they gave him more and more power. At least with the Kevinette beef blowers, we knew what we were dealing with because it was a certain type of male. You know, dusty, busted, angry, bitter, broke. We knew what we were ugly. We knew what we were dealing with them. But now, whew, this is something sinister. And especially with all of the unalivings that have been happening back to back to back to back to back by the hands of these creatures. This is something different. It's something vile. It's evil at this point. At first, it was just mean, and we know that they were just mad that we were leaving them behind and that they didn't take advantage of the same things that we have, like college, job opportunities. They were just waiting to ride for free off of our hard work. And when we said no, that needed to stop. That's when they got angry. So we knew what we were dealing with. But now, My 30th anniversary of graduating from my beloved Cheney University is this year, 1996. My 30th year is this year. And I'm not going to homecoming because of how the males who I thought were my brothers, the males who I would have laid my life down for because I thought that we were family. Not after this. Not after this. This is beyond the pale because they can't come back from this. That's the part that they don't realize, is that we're not going to forget. We're not going to forget. And if they think that the nursing homes are going to be full, if you think that they're full now, and they're full now of black males between the ages of 40 and 60, which is extremely young, but those are the men at one point we would be taking care of, trying to build with them, trying to help them get their life back, trying to help them get their lives back on track with our hard work and our love and our understanding. We're not doing that no more. Because for what? After they've shown us. This is the second time. Kevin Samuels was the warning. It's now here. And with everything going on in the news, it's now here. It's right in front of us, and we won't forget it.
I have Lilith and Scorpio. What this does is it creates a woman. Meg The Stallion has Lilith and Scorpio. I have Lilith and Scorpio. What this does is it creates a woman who is highly smexy and smexual and powerful and rebellious all at once. And the problem with this is patriarchy in general, whether we talk about men or women, don't like this shit. They don't like it because men don't like it because what do you mean you that smexy, you that powerful, and I can't possess you? What do you mean you know your own power when you won't let me have that shit? You won't let me have ownership over that shit, have some form of control over that shit. Because a Lilith and Scorpio, psychologically, they are so in tune with the truth of their own power that they are sovereign, just as they know everybody else is sovereign. They know the truth of humanity. This is why Lilith got her ass up from up under that man, because the whole, y'all know the story. She wanted to be on top, he didn't want on top. She's sitting there questioning the shit, like, why I can't be on top? So now she's questioning shit. She goes into the depths and starts to question shit that she ain't supposed to necessarily question. Because why? Because he's bigger. Because he's perceivably more powerful. And she's like, well, why is that? You know, she goes back and forth to the point that she gets to this revelation of, I don't want to do this shit. You got me fucked up. That is Lilith in the flesh. Men will always have a fucking vendetta against a woman who is that prominent with Lilith energy. I'm trying to tell you. Unless he is extremely woke. I ain't talking about regular woke, because you got levels to woke when it comes to the benefit and the privilege of patriarchy. You know, they get real normal when it comes to the privileges of patriarchy. A woman who has Lilith and Scorpio challenges the shit out of a man, because now she has a certain level of sex appeal that makes him feel weak.
When they're going through the worst of the worst, it's always, oh, she's a bitch. Her attitude is funky. I think one of the main things that's bothering me about this Klay and Meg situation is the fact that she said, I held you down through your horrible mood swings and your mistreatment towards me during basketball season. And this is really getting under my skin, because I feel like we often make excuses for people's behavior when they're facing adversity. And mistreatment is never okay, because you didn't do it to them. You're not responsible for what they're going through. And I hate that society penalizes women for their attitudes when they're going through the worst of the worst. It's always, oh, she's a bitch. Her attitude is funky. But when it comes to a man, it's, oh, he's going through a lot right now. He just lost his job. His granny died. They're always coddled. And I think we be forgetting that these are grown men. Stop infantilizing them. The same way you're a grown woman and you know how to regulate and control your emotions, he should be able to do the same thing. Like, hello, aren't the men supposed to be the leaders? Like, I'm so confused. I am confused. And I don't care how much a man apologizes for his lash outs and his mood swings or whatever the case may be, because without change behavior, it's manipulation, and depending on what's happening, it may or may not be emotional abuse too, and we're not doing that. Stop holding these men down through troubled times, because 9 times out of 10, they will not do that for you, okay? They're not writing for you the same way that you're writing for them. We learned that when we heard Mendici say that he would not hold Yandy down if the roles were reversed. That blew my mind. Are you insane? Nothing good ever comes from holding a man down. When it's all said and done, you're literally left to pick up the pieces with all this pain and trauma because you lack boundaries. And it's not fair to you, and it's not worth it, because most of the time they just go on with their lives. Obviously, leaving someone when they're going through things, it's a lot easier said than done, right? But he doesn't get to emotionally abuse you and play this hot and cold game because he's having a hard time. You wouldn't do that to him. So don't allow him to do that to you.
We're not going to forget this. So they really screwed themselves. And for the good men, oh, they messed it up for the good men too, because we're not going to believe any of y'all exist. We're not going to believe any of them exist. Nothing good. Everything has to be approached with absolute and extreme caution. And if they think we had strict programs before, okay, y'all really messed it up. Y'all messed up. All of you underneath my voice, y'all messed up. And y'all allowed it. Because this has been stemming since Tommy Sotomayor, whatever his name was. This has been since then, probably before him, but now it's at a level of life or death. Us or them. And we choose us. Y'all messed up. We're not going to forget. Y'all better get them nursing home reservations ready. Because y'all not coming to live at our house. Fuck that.
All right. Hey, everybody. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? It said you would have thought that Kevin Samuels return. Oh my goodness. Oh, can y'all hear me? Let me know down in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe on the way in. Oh my goodness. That was almost painful to watch. Loud and clear. Okay. Shout out to you guys. This is super last minute in the moment. I was like, I have some time. I'm chilling. It's been a minute since I've been live. I've been meaning to circle back with you guys. And also, this story is just insane. It's not even necessarily that the story is insane. There's nothing surprising about a professional athlete cheating. That's the least surprising thing ever, particularly when you understand the context of the relationship and then who was involved in the relationship. This is really nothing surprising at all. It's just what's been a little bit surprising to me has been the backlash. And there's a part of me that feels like it's not completely organic. I'm like, it's hard for me to believe that Meg The Stallion has this amount of pull on her own. I'm like, is some of this stuff being pushed in the algo? Is this, the alphabet boys? Is somebody else involved? Like, I'm putting on my conspiratorial hat a little bit, but nonetheless, it feels like it's just kind of sparked this unnecessary gender war at a time where, quite frankly, more than ever, people should be organizing and actually finding their community. And that's where I think it's actually, in my opinion, somewhat coordinated. But besides the point, what I wanted to do was spend a little bit of time addressing a lot of the propaganda that we continue to see being spewed as it relates to gosh, Black love, Black men, Black women, and it seems like now there's always different reasons for the collective of Black women and Black men to just not get along. There's always a reason to find that on the internet. And my initial thought is, okay, so if you're a woman of any age and a celebrity breakup was all you needed to go full blown like misandry, to put on your, Cynthia G hat, for lack of a better term. Those of you guys who are familiar with Cynthia G, right? Like I said, if all you needed was a celebrity breakup and a few random comments from accounts that you don't even know that are verified, if all you needed to do that was to become full blown misandrist and like on a straight man hating train, then in my opinion, like there are already deeper problems. There are already deeper problems. Because the framing right now is, so Black men are attacking Black women. That's kind of the framing, and we have to remember this all is coming off of the tail end of a series of different events where there were Black men who unalived their Black partners. Right? You had Justin Fairfax, Serena Fairfax. You had Shamar Elkins, who unalived 8 kids and 2 women. I think one was his wife and baby mama, to my understanding. And then you had the other situation where the governor of, I think it was Florida, who was unalived allegedly by her Black husband. So you have to remember, like, the tail end of this is already coming off of all of this news media coverage around Black men unaliving Black women. So that's like been the context over the last few weeks. And that pretty much sparked this conversation again about Black femicide, which seems like it recycles probably every 4 to 5 years, where it's this whole idea of like, every 4 hours, a Black man is unaliving a Black woman and Black men are not safe, et cetera, et cetera. Y'all know the whole propaganda. I've broken this down at detail at length. The numbers are not true. The conversations around DV and IPV, or when I say DV, domestic violence, IPV, interpersonal violence, are largely skewed. They are largely misunderstood and misrepresented. But nevertheless, those situations by those 3 obviously mentally unwell men became an entire reason to, kind of just cast an entire net on Black men and basically say Black men collectively are violent and are going around every single day unaliving their women, and therefore Black women, you can't trust Black men. Like, that was already the context of this conversation. And so now fast forward and you have Klay Thompson, who by my understanding wouldn't even be considered a Black man, depending upon some of these Black ladies, because he's light skinned and he's mixed with a white mama. So I'm like, if y'all do the whole based upon your own, based upon the whole, like, how they judge women, right? How these Black ladies judge Black women with white moms, or these exoticals with white moms, like Klay Thompson shouldn't even be the category of Black men. As far as I'm concerned, like, he shouldn't even be in the conversation. But nevertheless, you have a light-skinned exotical biracial man who somehow becomes a full-blown Negro when he ends up cheating, right? And this becomes now a reason for the collective of Black men to be cheaters and abusers and unalivers. So like I said, this has been the conversation. And what's really fascinating to me, what's actually been incredibly fascinating to me about this conversation is how much of it is just based upon narrative. All of it is just based upon narrative. It's like the most, in my opinion, the people with the least amount of relationship success, the people with the least amount of relationship satisfaction are the ones who are oftentimes the loudest and the ones who are promoted. And what I also find fascinating about this drama between Meg and Klay is that, see, right now, Meg is being positioned as this like an innocent victim, similar to what was going on with Tory Lanez to a certain extent, right? Here's Meg is this innocent victim who, poured her heart out and was completely everything that she needed to be in the relationship. And this evil Black man essentially broke her heart. And then now the collective of Black men are going and they are celebrating another Black woman being just completely and totally disrespected. So like this is the framing behind this whole story. And what the thing that I hate about these gender war conversations is that they always remove context. They always remove context in order to promote propaganda, but they never look at things in its entirety. So I have broken this down before in absolute detail, but I'll do it again. And I see this right here. Yeah, Mary Bracamano could personally care less. Yeah, just a side note, anybody who's in a happy, satisfying relationship or just happy and satisfied in their own life really doesn't care. It like Klay Thompson and Meg The Stallion, whether they were married and having 10 kids or whether they got in a DV spat, like that doesn't impact me at all. None of these celebrity relationships impact me at all. Another man's ability to love another random woman that I've never met and maybe never and will likely never meet, you know what I mean? That has no bearing on my satisfaction, my life, my day-to-day reality. It doesn't. So as you mentioned, people who are actually happily living their lives, particularly those who are satisfied in relationships, aren't going to look at a random NBA player doing what a lot of athletes do, which is sleep around and be promiscuous and cheat. They're not going to look at that. And then now that means their entire perception about life is going to be tainted. No, they're going to be like, okay, that's a guy over there that has a lot of options. He's doing what he does. This is another celebrity relationship, and celebrity relationships are exactly what they are, and they're going to keep it pushing. It's not going to become a reason for now the collective of Black women to have to band together and completely reorient their understanding of Blackness and Black masculinity. Like, it's not. Like the jumps that are being made are just absolutely absurd, in my opinion. But as I mentioned, if we go back to the reasons, I would say, you said men hate them, but yeah, men do not hate Meg The Stallion. Yeah, this one, it says at this point, they decided race because he didn't like Black no men. Yeah. You've been saying this for a minute, Edward Anderson. You've been saying this for a minute. You've been saying, why don't y'all just say outside your race? Okay, we're horrible. We want to unalive all y'all. We want to abuse you, and we're going to cheat. And we're going to dance on your grave. And when you give us your love, we're going to disrespect it. So why even deal with this? Why don't you just go your own way? Get outside your race. Do it. Nobody's stopping you. He said, I've been told you narrative is all they have. I'm laughing because literally, that's what it is. That's what it is. And what's crazy to me about this whole thing is like, I'm listening to these stories and I'm like, bruh, if freaking celebrity was what you needed, again, if a celebrity is what you needed to go full-blown misandrist, you were already that. Like, you already had those beliefs, you already had those ideas, you were just looking for a reason. You were working backwards from your conclusion. Edward, if you want to call in, I know you're here. If you have a few minutes, you want to call in, feel free to do so. This is for Edward. If you got a few minutes, feel free to call in. No pressure, just if you're like around and it's easier to chat versus texting. But okay, so there's a few things that I wanted to touch on that I touched upon in previous videos, but just to try to get it all, address it all in one stream. So when we're talking about this idea of the collective of Black men hate the collective of Black women because they criticize Meg The Stallion, first of all, that's a wild jump. It's a wild jump that somehow Meg The Stallion represents the entirety of the Black female population. First of all, she does not. Let me just say that, because she certainly doesn't represent me. I clearly see Meg The Stallion as a separate individual that is not connected to me in any way, shape, or form. Meg The Stallion does not speak for me. She does not represent me. She does not represent anything about me. If anything, we ideologically, her and I are opposed, because I'm a Christ follower, and there is literally nothing about her lifestyle that is, from how I see it, reverent at all. Nothing about it. Everything that her brand represents goes completely against my faith. Everything from being sexually promiscuous, from being sexually dominating, to trying to dominate and domineer men, to using her WAP to basically try to control things. This Lilith energy woman was talking about, like, literally everything that she is about goes against my actual faith, right? So like, she does not represent me. Meg The Stallion does not represent me. So this jump that somehow, because Black men have the audacity to criticize Meg The Stallion, and there are some like legitimate critiques, but because they have the audacity to do that, somehow that means Black men all of a sudden all hate Black women. Like, to me, the jump is crazy to me. The jump is crazy. But what we find is that there are Black women who actually see themselves in Meg. There are Black women who see themselves in Meg The Stallion. I'm not one of them. Okay, let me be very clear. I don't identify with any of the thing that she represents. She's a beautiful woman and she has talent. I just don't like I don't particularly agree the way in which her talent is being used. I actually think quite often, she's being used as an agent of white supremacy to actually stir up division, whether it be division between men and women, whether it be to cast a negative net on Black men, because I'm trying to think of a story that involves Meg The Stallion and a Black man, and it ends up positive. I'm trying to, and I can't think of one. Now, if you guys know of some of the comment section, y'all let me know. But to me, it just seems like any interaction she has with men, particularly Black men, it always seems as if it ends up casting a negative light. And so I feel like even if she's not consciously aware, she's probably just trying to pay her bills and live up to a contract. I don't see her as somebody that's actively empowering Black women. I see her as somebody who's actively being used to divide, personally. And that doesn't take away the fact that she's beautiful. It doesn't take away the fact that she's talented. It doesn't take away the fact that she has a lot of influence and that she has talent. All those things are true. I'm just talking about as far as the messaging. And I say that because I'm just like, I need to be very clear. She doesn't speak for me. She does not. But for a lot of Black women, she does. And so by Black men criticizing Meg The Stallion, it's as if they're criticizing them. And that's what I find fascinating. Yeah, so like I said, if you want to call in, Edward, feel free to. The call in is for Edward only. Feel free to. That's what I find fascinating. Hey, what's going on?
Hello. Yeah, I've been a little bit under the weather, but
yeah,
I've been doing good. Absolutely.
That's what's up. Yeah, so it's good to good to chat. I know it's been a minute, but I'm sure you've been keeping up on this whole. Yeah, I'm sure you've been keeping up to date on this whole mess, this whole Meg The Stallion thing. What are your thoughts? I mean, I think some of this, personally, that I think some of this is fabricated and being promoted, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, I shared one of your videos because I mean, all your videos are good, but on this issue, it particularly spoke to me. It was like something you said, something Messy said, and then something O'Shea said as well. But yeah, man, I've had to stop looking at TikTok because everything I click, it's like videos like this, boom, 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 boom. You get a couple, maybe 1 in 10 of women kind of telling it like it is when it comes to y'all forgot about Megan, like Megan lied about this, Megan cheated some parts in Fontaine. You even got some folks that they've said they don't like Kevin Samuels. They've made it clear they don't like Kevin Samuels, but they said, from a class standpoint, Megan is not the person to die on this hill. She's not. And,
exactly.
But these women act like they really trying to declare war, man. And it's like men ain't really hit them. Like, we ain't really deployed memes like that. Like, that one meme got them really triggered. The one with the I don't know if you've seen it.
I've seen it. Well, what's fascinating, and my husband mentioned this, he was just like, why would that be negative? I thought these are sex positive women. There was nothing about that meme that necessarily said anything wrong. Like, isn't that something you would celebrate? And so he was like, wait, that's so contradictory, because here you are saying there should be no shame around a body count. You know what I mean? There should be no issue. And Meg The Stallion has been very open about her basically dominating men through her WAP. So why wouldn't that be something that you would celebrate? You know what I mean? It's a double standard.
Yeah, I've said it before. They want the ranking system to alter. They want wives to be put down, like multiple ranks. They want single mothers to be at the top. They want, women that are are out there to be below that, and they want wives to be at the bottom. This is what's
Huh.
going on.
Interesting.
Yeah. So actually, they've come up with a counter meme to that meme, right? Have you
No,
seen it?
I don't think I've seen the counter meme, but these ladies, I'm like, okay, so either y'all are hella brand new to the internet or you're just being disingenuous. Cause I'm like, literally, there are so many people who have memes. I mean, I mentioned,
Yeah.
I think the last video I did or the video before was like, I put up, I think only like 2 of Taylor Swift. There's been plenty. She's been, gosh, she's been slut shamed here until tomorrow.
Oh yeah, it's endless. Oh yeah, Kayla. Yeah, it's endless. Yeah, I got a picture of what they put out, or what somebody tried to put
Oh,
out to counter it. Yeah, so the top one is the one that they're mad about, and the bottom one is the one at the bottom.
okay.
So let me zoom in for that so you
They're
see it better.
jealous they weren't her. I don't.
So it's interesting
Okay,
to your
let's
question
see.
that you say, because this is how they say this is what it really is. This is how they got it wrong. This is what it really is.
I never let it. I wish that. Okay, so let me read this narrative. So this, okay, this is the new narrative. Okay, they shall pick me. Okay, I treat her better. They don't hate her. They just hate they're not in line for her. What? They're not judging her. They're wishing they had access. They fantasize about being the one she chooses. Their hate is just jealousy in disguise. She's living in attention they wish they could get. Stop letting their insecurity fool you. You're the problem. You're not the problem. You're the price. See, the challenge I have with this, the challenge that I have with a lot of these narratives is that it completely and totally removes like masculinity from the conversation. Like it presupposes that the things that women value and the way that women think is exactly how men think. That's the issue that I have. And because these women they're so quick to try to like analyze and use therapy to understand the emotions of men. And it's like, bro, you're coming from a female centered point of view. You can't conceptualize that men think totally different and that men actually value different things.
Well, what they expect is they expect men to fall in line to that point of view, but the problem is they're not sexually attracted to that. So it creates this. It's just like feminism. Like they did studies, even with white feminists, where a lot of
Mhm.
white feminists are attracted to more conservative, masculine guys.
Yep, that's
Like
true.
so this is not just in the black community. Other groups just do a better job at covering it up. I know another narrative out there is also that they're singling out Megan because she's black. That's one of the
Which is
people put.
no.
Yeah,
Meg The Stallion singled herself out as a black woman.
yeah,
She's the one that wrote the song called WAP. She's the one that goes around every 15 seconds and all her music is like, it's low key, high key, soft corn. That's Meg The Stallion.
yeah.
She's the one that,
And Lori Harvey dates a lot too. People don't really hammer Lori Harvey like this unless she's talking about like, trying to hate on Michael B. Jordan, but dudes are not on her like they're on Megan. So it's other black women that definitely date a lot. They were trying to make the comparison to Kim Kardashian saying black men don't, which is not true. When she got
true.
with Kim, yeah, the problem with Megan, I will say this, Megan does get hit harder, but here's why. Megan, the worst thing that ever happened to Megan, obviously, like my mom died. I understand her mom died, but like as far as her career was, that Tory Lanez situation. If Tory Lanez would have got like 3 years, people would have let that. They would have been mad at her, but they would have let that go. But the fact that he got 10 years over something that a lot of people do not believe is true, they do not believe that he shot her. I don't believe he shot her.
I don't. And the fact that she lied, the fact that she admitted to lying on Gayle King, it's like, okay, so what is she not admitting that she lied to? Like, she doesn't have a perfect reputation as far as her word is concerned.
Yeah, and I think that black women very much underestimate the anger that a lot of dudes have over that. Like, and they may not be getting on here constantly hammering it, but it's something that's going to affect everything she does. The other thing, too, is if you notice, a lot of her, she hasn't had a lot of men really doing songs with her. She hasn't been featured on people's songs. you know, and it's kind of like, I think the recent song she did had Juvenile on there, as old as Juvenile is. The last couple of hits that she's done has not hit. And I'm talking about women, like the song she did with the Lover Girl song did not hit. I'm talking about women that are Megan the Stallion fans. The same women is mad about the situation, but the same women saying that song ain't it. They were looking for stuff different.
Yeah, the last one she did about Klay Thompson.
Yeah, and
they're all like, "Girl, this wasn't." Yeah, they didn't like it.
Even her fans. Yeah, so it's been a couple of songs too. Like people, I haven't forgot about that Jennifer's Body song where she got a dude's neck, you know, bleeding out.
In the end, she was literally dancing on Black men's right. I covered that off because I thought that was deplorable, and people were like, "Oh, it's just artistry, et cetera, et cetera." I'm just like, have the roles be reversed. Please show me a video of a Black man, of a prominent Black rapper who his entire video is Black femicide. Please show me the equivalent and tell me there wouldn't be a hellfire for the whole week. You know, Black women picketing, doing media pleases, people going online trying to boycott. Like, please. So I was actually very disturbed by that video because I was like, are y'all not seeing? And then I saw like the producers and she was hugged up with some white dudes. And I'm like, okay, you know, I don't want to go there, but that's why I was just like, girl, are you like, who are you working with? Who was paying you? Because this is just the optics were not looking right.
Yeah, Pink Bow Lessons is on some, you know, she sold her soul, demonic. She even got like the devil, like a really deep, it was actually good, like a devil picture. That's what she's on when it comes to Megan. And a lot of chicks are going with it. But a lot of us has been in this space, has observed this. We've known this is there. It's one thing for us to say it's there. It's another thing for it to come out. And like you said with Klay, I mean, people forget Klay is big in the NBA. I mean, he's not like the biggest guy out there, but he's pretty much, you know, Steph Curry's Robin to Steph Curry being Batman. He's the other Splash brother, so he's known. So men are paying more attention to this, just like they paid attention to the Russell Wilson situation, because they know who Megan is, but you don't have a lot of crossover with like sports like this. And this is the playoff. Klay has not been playing well, but this is not, and that's not her fault. I'll say that because he came off of being hurt. Now she didn't help, but he came off of being hurt. He had that. That's why he got traded from the Warriors, because they worked with him for 2 years and they realized, all right, we just need to let you go and move on to something else. So people are already paying attention to him. People know who he is and everything. And he's one of these, and he's mixed. His dad was NBA. All his like brothers, I think they play baseball, major league. So his whole family is decked out. So so the other thing too is dudes were saying from the get-go this wasn't gonna work because and so this is more of an I told you. This is not a celebration as much as it's an I told you so.
Right. Yeah. And I mentioned that where I was just like, a key difference I'm seeing is that when she got with Klay Thompson, first of all, he's light skinned. So we already know that makes a difference. Right. But it was kind of like, oh, okay, so women are going to look at all the men that she's publicly been with and been like, oh, this is her evolving. Right. She's growing. She's had different experiences. She's finding herself. She's learning about herself. She's learning her wants. And then Klay Thompson ideally would have been like the Prince Charming, but women are looking at all those different experiences as evolvement. Whereas men, I mean, I think you could, you know, speak to this or just like, bro, like you're cheapening yourself by kind of just treating yourself as, for lack of a better term, community property.
Well, that's a delusion. And the thing with Megan too is Megan's not dating these guys. Like one thing Lori Harvey can kind of hide behind is that she's dating these guys. Kim dated those guys. Kim married one of those guys other than Kanye. So it was still within the context of casual dating. She's having flings, Blueface, all these dudes. And a lot of these dudes don't even claim her like that. Like, she's not even being claimed. Like, it's just dudes saying, I hit it. None of them are saying they actually dated her. Like, she dated Partisan Fontaine is who she dated, and she dated maybe one or two more people. Other than that, everybody she hit. Rihanna did a similar thing, but it was so behind the scenes because Rihanna didn't present it in her music in the same way. As far as the dude she dealt with, it was more like rumor. Like, it's a rumor she dealt with Leonardo. It's a rumor. And none of them other dudes really talked about it, and they had their own reasons for not talking about it. So when she came to get with ASAP, it wasn't seen as the same thing. Plus, she has more money than ASAP. Same thing with Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift has more money than Kelsey. So it's almost seeming like, okay, it's not the same thing. The other thing Yeah, and the other thing too is Klay dated Coke, and this is another thing I've always said. You notice how dudes don't get no credit for dating black women? Klay dated Coco Jones for 2 years.
He dated a few other black women too, to my understanding.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. And Coco Jones, to her credit, is engaged with Donovan Mitchell. I think somebody mentioned that in the chat, and he's he's right. I'd say Klay is probably gonna be more of a Hall of Famer than Donovan, but they're in the same kind of tier of NBA players where Donovan is. So that's a good get for her. I think Normani is another one that is I forget what player, but engaged. And Glorilla is with a basketball player too.
Mm-hmm.
Which ironic, I always bring up. Look, I'm not the biggest fan of Glorilla, but when you look at how she interacts with black men and how black men interact with her, this idea that black men are just rooting. I mean, she's a very masculine female. I mean, she comes from Memphis. I get where she comes from, so I get where that comes from. But men are not rejecting her. Men see the hard work she put in, where she started as far as her interviews and stuff, because that crap was like insane, and where she is now. And when Young Thug called her ugly, she dealt with that. Nobody said nothing because they saw that was complete legit. And then she's with y'all in the chat, y'all know who she's dating, but she's dating a notable NBA player. He's like in the middle tier, but he's known. And nobody's jumping on her about it, and she's moving along. But it's this antagonism that these women want to have. And it's like, and what I hear in those videos is I'm hearing you all want to hate black men. You all just, it's the same thing with white men. Y'all want an excuse to just go full Nazi. Like just like what Kanye had. I don't know if you heard that Kanye song. Yeah. Like all these people on Instagram y'all just want an excuse to do it, and that's fine. Be who you are, but stop playing like dudes are just making this up. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because I'm like the reach of logic is so insane to me, where it's like, so a celebrity breaks up, and now therefore that means a collective of black men hate you, and you need to divest, and you're not going to allow black men into your space. Like it just, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, these are two random people that you don't know at all, that you have no connection with whatsoever. So like this, the reach of logic that I hear these women taking to justify their misandry is like, oh, you already believe this, because there's no way there's a black woman who's balanced, healthy, has healthy relationships with men in her real life, has had healthy interactions, and then she's going to allow some random celebrity that she ain't never met and a few comments online to completely change her perspective of her own experience.
Yeah,
So
and somebody.
like,
Yeah, somebody said in the comments, Glorilla ain't no different. I said, it's not about Glorilla being different. It's not about Glorilla. It's about how black men interact with her. Meaning, if you're not on here on this, I'm going to be into, like Dochi's another one that does this, but she does it more from an LGBT angle. I'm going to be antagonistic to black men, get upset when black men check it. Glorilla has not done yet. And as you have seen, and this is a masculine female. This is a female from Memphis. She comes from the mud way more than Megan does. Way more. She's the youngest of like 10 kids. Y'all done seen her sister talk.
Yeah.
And yet you don't see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't see black men. And she's not the great, like Megan's a more talented rapper than Glorilla. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat that. But you don't see black men coming at Glorilla because she hasn't given them a reason to. So this idea, this goes back to what you were talking about with Megan being innocent. This idea that she's innocent, that she doesn't do anything, as if, like, because that's the other thing about what all these chicks are saying. They're they do what almost white people do when they want to be ahistorical, where they completely leave out context. So apparently, screw the Tory Lanez situation. What about what Partisan Fontaine said? What about what other people have said? And what about what other women have said? Because one of the things too is they say is Megan is a girl's girl. Well, by a black woman's definition of what a girl's girl is, girls, you don't have to worry about them cheating, taking your man from you.
Right. And she's had songs. Listen, I don't even really necessarily listen to Glorilla like that. I think the only song that I've listened to from beginning to end on purpose was Rocksteady, where she was dancing on the grave of black men, because I heard about it and I was like, what? But outside of that, it's like, I mean, you have a rapper that's
crazy.
Literally talked about being the other woman, who's alluded to cheating, has been open about using her WAP to dominate men and women. Like, so, like, this is, to me, this is not an innocent necessarily bystander. I mean, if you promote sexual promiscuity, then why would you be surprised when the person experiences the repercussions of that? And I also feel like a lot of these ladies, I noticed, is it's like they always want to remove the repercussions of sexual promiscuity, and that's what also gets on my nerves.
Yeah, they want you to accept it. They want you to treat that as a woman that doesn't, like, we're not even talking about dudes digging into their reputation. We're talking about women that at least done a decent job at not having that reputation. At least they haven't been so crazy about it's undercover. It is a form of domination. They want you to submit to their whoredom. One of the best takes that I heard was the guy that he does the Q pill. A good dude. He does, like, he has like licensed psychologist, stuff like that. Because they talk about, how do you fumble a Megan? And he said you can't. He said you can't fumble a whore. And this is a guy that typically is in the middle. Like, he'll hold men accountable too. He don't really jump on the, he's one of these, I'm doing my own thing. Damn, what y'all, yeah. And he did this short, and he was very annoyed by the TikTok videos he's seen, and he gets like that too. And he said, yeah, y'all talk about fumbling Megan. It's like, you can't fumble a whore. And the way he says it, it's just like a gut punch, because it was just a wake-up call. And that's what that meme communicates. You can't. And I'm sorry, this is what she's put out there. People are not like digging into her past and just slut shaming her. No, she does. This is equivalent to Amber Rose and the slut walk. And then you're mad because now, if like conservatives was like, you did the slut walk, why would you take you seriously? Oh my God, you can't do that. I'm like, this is the values you represent, and certain men of certain calibers are not going to accept that, because it's not just you doing that. You're actually, Megan is like the Marilyn Monroe for Black women.
She is. And I also saw this video. I might play it a little bit. I saw this video. It's this chick to the left with the blonde hair. I did members only on it. And in the whole video, she basically breaks down like why Black women ride for her so much, and how she's basically the mascot for Black women. And I'm like, okay, so at least you said the quiet part out loud. Now, she ain't the mascot for me. And I know there's not all Black women who rock with this, but why there's such a kind of like beehive response. You know what I mean?
You got Ella. I'm gonna tell you, and this is a sad thing, but when I actually heard, like, looked into who, like, heard Ella Mae's music, like some of her songs, because they play her songs, where I'm at, I instantly knew, oh yeah, she ain't from here. Because some of the stuff that she's saying, it's just not something that you would say here. Talk about, I'm gonna get your eggs and breakfast and OJ juice, and like, her songs are very good. Like it's like, yeah, you must be. And then she's from the UK. I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, let me real quick. I saw some of these. Says Glow seems like she's actually a kind girl. Also too, something about Glow. It seems like she has a relationship with her daddy. I mean, I don't know the full situation. I'm sure her family is.
She got like 10 siblings.
Yeah, she got a very colorful family, clearly, with the situation with her twin sister. But it seems like she doesn't seem antagonistic. I mean, her songs would be kind of saying stuff here and there, but like in her own relationships or her own life, it doesn't seem like she like actively hates. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. But she's
it's stuff out here. Like, she doesn't have obvious stuff out here. Like, I didn't know about that music video because people ain't watching music videos, but she don't got like what Doechii got talking about. It's a red flag if you're a straight Black man.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I don't know. I do remember Glorilla. She had like a rant where she was mad, talking about she didn't need no something. She was just like it was like a typical modern woman rant where she was mad at men, but like. I haven't, like, if I think of Meg, everything from Rocksteady, we talked about that Rocksteady video where it was like, you're literally dancing on the graves of Black men.
Oh, okay. That was me, yeah.
And then I think you made, I think, a lot of the stuff even could have been forgiven. I think you made a really good point about Tory Lanez being behind bars, because I think there's something about that story that a lot of men resonate with this. I know Dr. Hasan Johnson, he's been addressing this on his own channel, where it's like the amount of men who have dealt with, false rape accusations and just false accusations and spent time behind bars. And that's an issue to this day that hasn't fully been addressed.
Yeah, Tory. I mean, and I mean, it doesn't matter, but I learned this about Tory. Like, he's Jamaican, he's out of Canada, and this just goes to show you that because of how hard people ride for people. But it's like the betrayal of that. These women keep dusting through that. I'm like, this dude, you ruined. This is like what happened with Shine. Now that was Diddy. That wasn't J Lo. That was Diddy. But it's like the level. And by the way, a lot of people never let that go with Diddy. Let's be real about that. Like, a lot of dudes never let that go. So it's not, but for her to do that and then lie and then pretend like that's not what it is, when we know what happened. The only thing that's really in this, first of all, he didn't start the altercation. Like, what they're saying, the thing that really messed Tory up was that was unregistered, that was unlicensed. He wasn't supposed to have a gun. That's what they're actually justifying why they gave him those years. It really isn't even the shot. It's really just, you had the gun and we're gonna hit you for that time.
Yeah.
But the thing, so I'm not annoyed. Like, I do understand that, but the fact of the matter is, nobody disagrees that they had an altercation. Like, Kelsey and her had some kind of altercation. What they're trying to add in there is basically did Tory regulate or not, and did he take Kelsey's side and just started telling her to dance for me and all of that? Which, why would, anyway, I'm not going to relitigate that. He's been convicted. It is what it is with that. Although black men do get exonerated all the time. But my thing is, had he got like 3 years and like a lot of probation, people could have let that go. For that dude to be in jail like that over a black woman, presents herself a black woman, and then everybody, because it was black women on Tory's side, but Megan she used that to boost her career. And a lot of dudes are very committed that as long as that dude is in jail, you are not gonna win with this career. And here's the other thing. I'm gonna say this, I'm done. People need to tell me, how has Jay-Z not gotten dudes to be on her songs? So that's got to tell me that these dudes are refusing to do music with her, which tells me inside baseball, they know something the regular public doesn't. Megan does not. Megan may have a reputation for being sexual, but it's like all these dudes don't like her so much that they refuse to let her do a verse on a song for them to be on her stuff. It's like she's being blackballed by the dudes. That's why she had to go back to do the WAP 2.0 with Cardi B, and she's having to go with other women because dudes are like icing her out, and nobody's been able to explain to me why that is yet. But anyway,
no, I think you hit the nail on the head, because I think the mainstream media and a lot of women are not willing to reckon with the amount of frustration that a lot of men, even men, because like I said, this even hits non-black men, but especially black men, when it comes to the area of just false accusations, and how that there hasn't really been an effective legal way to try to mitigate that. And I mean, what was that recent situation? Man, I can't think of it. There was like a recent situation in the headlines. Okay, even if you think of like Cesar Chavez, right? And how this is a man that's, gosh, he's been dead for how long? I don't even know. And then all of a sudden, it seemed like there was like this feminist takedown to try to completely remove this entire reputation because of an allegation that, to my understanding, hadn't even been litigated. And so it's like, it's just by somebody saying something, somebody can say something and it not even be true. If you look at Jonathan Majors, that whole scenario and it ended up not even being what it was. I think he got like a slap on the hand, but it was nothing really serious. But it was like his entire career was kind of destroyed.
He got 4th degree assault, which I didn't know existed.
And it was because we saw the video. He was trying to protect himself from her. Like, we saw she was the aggressor, but it was enough. What she said and the narrative around it was enough to completely like almost
Yeah, and they dropped the lawsuit. That she had the lawsuit in UK, and they dropped that. She quietly dropped that. Even white people think I think they did too much with that. They may not resuscitate his career, but they think they went overboard with that, because the way that they just, all his agencies and like all his, like, the people that represented him, they just got away from him. And It's kind of like, y'all don't do that with people around the Epstein files. It's suspected. Y'all don't do like it's when you compare that to anything, it just doesn't make sense. Like, especially when you see people slow balling with stuff like that, like it just doesn't make sense. And you know, and then you obviously got the dirty socks and flip flops chick like DL Hughley. That was like right before this, and dudes were mad about that. But when you get a combination of sports, you're getting black men that typically don't even engage in this stuff. You're getting content creators that they don't really engage with gender war stuff, where their stuff is sports. They may talk about what's going on off the court. They will, but typically they're not that. So that's the other thing a lot of women are not understanding too. It's way more black men in sports than it is in like the sector we deal in. So it's like 10, 15 times bigger.
No, I see what you're saying, because you have the sports component because of Klay Thompson, but then also how public Tory Lanez was and how that represents this area of society that hasn't really been adequately addressed, and one that does impact all men, but especially black men tend to be, the most vulnerable to that. And and to this day, there's not really a way to navigate it. I mean, the best you can do is you start having some guys recording, and trying to do things to protect themselves. If a woman starts acting a little funny style. But even then, that's not always. I mean, look at Justin Fairfax. That all those allegations against him, which to my understanding, that they weren't even fully litigated legally.
You're talking about the governor, the lieutenant governor.
Yeah, or Fairfax, where it was like,
because he went to Duke. Those, I go to that campus all the time. So he was, those litigations was in Duke, and they were getting antsy about that because you got the Duke lacrosse situation happen in 2005, which, by the way, the dude is running for senator right now, Roy Cooper, who will probably win. He was attorney general then. So, that's the thing that really strikes down here because those were white boys and that was a black woman, and they ended up disbarring the prosecutor for how that went down. And and she ended up going to jail for other stuff because she ended up I think killing her boyfriend. So so the stripper they accused the Duke lacrosse boys. This is pre-Me Too, by the way, of the sexual assault, running the train, sexual assault and all that. And they had to get through the ringer, and it turned out it didn't happen, and turned out the prosecutor pushed it anyway. That dude ended up being disbarred because white people aren't gonna let you do that, especially with people who are higher class like that. But that woman, she ended up getting caught up in something else, ended up killing her boyfriend. So she's actually currently in jail. Yeah, because they every like 5 years they'll bring her out for like an interview or something to talk about that situation. And they did it like a few years ago. I'll email you like the email and all that. But that was crazy. Yeah. So it's. Yeah, but I'm curious this video because hear this goofy stuff she got to say. But yeah, they're starting to admit they got a parasocial. It's not riding. This is not riding. This is you all have a parasocial relationship. It's beyond right. Like the stuff they try to say about dudes and Andrew Tate, which I'm not saying is completely untrue. This is like the equivalent of that. Like all this stuff they always talk about with the man, because they never investigate like the divestment sphere. They want to investigate the manosphere, what is going on, the hate that men have, but they never want to talk about these divestment spheres, like how these women are being put in situations where I keep saying they turn off their survival instinct when they're around certain men. And people will talk about, black men kill black women too. Here's the problem. Number one, it's overblown. But number two, the difference between when black men harm a black woman and a white man does it, the system is definitely giddy to get a black man locked up. Black women are not having problems using the system on other black men. No. They don't have it. They have an issue with white men. So when a white man does it, they're like, well, we got to. You got to do all of that unless it's tape, unless it's egregious. And it doesn't help when black women get radio silent on that. So that's the difference. Just like with the police. Yes, we know black on black crime exists to the extent that they want to say it. Yes, we know that. Just like how white boys shooting up schools exist. But the difference is that when police do it, they have a mechanism to get out of it. Even that's where the George Floyd thing, it was all on video, the whole 8 minutes. That's the difference. And people want to play games. It's funny how they use white supremacist talking points to try to dodge that stuff. But anyway.
No, that's what's up. And no, literally, I mean, I talked about that. If we think of like the case of Sade Robinson, that divested disaster. And listen, she didn't even have, from my understanding, Sade Robinson, she didn't even have a history of like saying horrible things about the black community or black men. To my understanding, she had a pretty cool relationship with her dad, right? But she went on one random Bobo date with that white dude who was like 11, 12 years older than her. And then the only reason I think he got guilty was because he was so egregious with it. I mean,
Yeah.
he caught him on video. He chopped her up, put her body all across the beat. Like, he was just so egregious that it was kind of hard to like not see it. But I mean, think about just a week and a half ago, everybody was talking about Ashley Janae. What have we heard about Ashley Janae? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they just basically went into all of a sudden. And look, I get it. Cover the stories. Like, the men are not scared. The men are not scared to cover the stories when black men do something. But yeah, they went straight to black men because with the Ashley Janae situation, the issue with her is they couldn't bury the story because all the stuff, the tweets that she had that were recent, they couldn't like go with this narrative because she was like, last 5 days she was doing that, and then nobody knows what happened, and because this was overseas, the story got away from them. But they would have generally wanted to bury that story. But
that's what I'm saying. My point is, Sade Robinson, of the many different cases that I've seen that involved like homicide, that, you know, interracial, she's probably the only case that I've seen there be a justice. I think of Ashley Janae. I'm like,
I think Chad Wheeler too, but I don't think she died because Chad Wheeler got hit too. With, you know, the football player that beat up.
Yeah. Okay, but she also had some ample evidence, right?
Okay.
And she didn't die, and I don't think she died. Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. It was almost as bad as if she would have, because like him beating her up, talking about I thought she was dead because that's what he said, and all of that. And again, I'm not, look, I date out. I'm all for y'all dating out, because the thing about it, you never hear black women say that. As bad as black men are, you never hear black women say, you know, if these dudes date outside their race, then these other races of women are going to see what we see. No, see, black men, we're confident in the culture that y'all are. That when I say y'all, people know who they are that are pushing this and how y'all are. Y'all can only pretend so much. Also, the other thing about Megan, they talk about all the stuff she did, cooking for and all that. That crap was just like we hit these white women about being performative with certain things they say. You know, as far as trying to, you know, liberal stuff they say. Yeah, that was performative. That's not who Megan is. And then let's say that is who she is. Why is she only showing that for the light-skinned biracial?
Listen, don't, and they don't even want to talk about that.
Like, Partisan Fontaine was with her for a minute.
And that's what I'm saying too. I was like, I think another reason there's such a black women are really, really running with this is because he's light-skinned. Because there's something exceptionally triggering for some ladies when a light-skinned man or a man that has close proximity to whiteness rejects them in any capacity. I think that's just psychologically more jarring to them than if it's just like a regular Negro. Because him being light-skinned and him having close proximity to whiteness was definitely a big push or a big plus for a lot of these ladies. They may not actively admit it. Now, some will. Some will be honest and say, I don't like my dark skin and I want my kid to have a better life. Like, some are actually being honest and saying that online. But for those who aren't, but they internalize it, they care about that stuff.
Oh yeah, and it's this narrative out here that's why they won't stay away from, because I don't know no other dude that is charging $1,200 for pictures that's able to pull that. By the way, you know, they hate Chris Brown. Yeah, they hate Chris Brown, but
they're still paying. But they still gonna pay.
Exactly. So, yeah, like when you start getting into that, that's actually one thing that like you were saying, like dude you were with previously, like a couple dudes like to get dude cheated. I was like, damn.
I thought that was funny.
I mean, it is what it is, but yeah. But there's this narrative in the black community that like light-skinned black men are like second-class citizens, like we don't get chicks. And I'm like, there's a reason you don't see a lot of like red pill light-skinned dude. Like I don't know, black women really got black men thinking that you know, with the dark skin masculinity thing, which is definitely a thing. I don't know that, but they really act like dudes like Klay Thompson, like they thought they had another one. They thought it was going to be a Russell Wilson or something like that. But again, you know, Klay's history, Coco Jones is way better than, in my opinion, as far as like what you would look for than Megan is. Reputation, singer, all of that. And they dated quietly for 2 years and it didn't work. And Coco Jones left it open. Here's the last thing I'm gonna say too. One of the things that Black women got to understand, this winning the breakup stuff is not going to help, because all you're doing, I'm not even talking about Black women in general, but with Megan, you're burning bridges. So the same thing with Lori Harvey and Michael B. Jordan. There's a rumor that she called Michael B. Jordan and he left. He didn't answer the phone after he won the Oscar and all that. That's out there. Women have reported that, but that's not confirmed. When you burn bridges with dudes like this, you don't have the ability to double back. Like, if Kim Kardashian doubled back to Kanye actually liked her from the start, but she wanted Reggie Bush is who Kim Kardashian wanted above everybody else. But Reggie Bush didn't want to deal with her no more. And so she moved on to other people. And then she doubled back to Kanye. Had she disrespected Kanye publicly, Kanye's ego probably wouldn't have did that. And so a lot of these chicks, y'all want to win the breakup, not thinking you might have to double back. Rihanna doubled back to ASAP. Rihanna tried to deal with ASAP earlier on, and ASAP liked Rihanna, but ASAP, he was in a different part of his life. And he's like, I'd rather do me and blah, blah, blah. And they ended up coming together later. There's a lesson in that. But this, I'm going to win the breakup. I'm going to show how much I hate Black men. For a lot of the Black men that are on the fence, the red pill can't, or Black manosphere can't reach them because they can't be that bad. Situations like this that are not provoked by us. Oh yeah, that, and then the gay dude that said, Black men are a cancer to the Black community. That was funny too.
Wait, who are you talking about? Anwar White, or was it somebody else?
I think it was him. He bald head dude.
The dating coach?
Yeah, talk about the gay dude. Talk about Black men are a cancer to the Black community. He said heterosexual Black men are a cancer to the Black community.
When I be seeing this stuff, sometimes I'd be wondering if these guys are just if they're trying to just strengthen their options by having less competition, if that makes sense. I'm like, are y'all specifically telling women what not to do so that you feel like you have more access to men? Like, I wonder that in the back of my head sometimes.
Man, I call it emotional dope dealing. It's pandering. It's there's a book called Sexual Politics, to be fair, but it's sexual politicking. And that's what you see here. Like, these women, it's like, I don't know what y'all doing. Like, you got women that make money off being in the middle, and they're out here jumping out the window for Megan. I'm like these chicks, and here's the thing, they always want to have these conversations on TikTok on their phone, but they never want to debate this stuff.
No, they never. And even down to even the men sometimes who represent these talking points. Like, I've told my husband multiple times, I was like, I would love to see Feek the SignifIer and Dr. T. Hasan Johnson sit down together and hash out some of the real issues. Because we can get, caught up in the pop culture, but some of the real issues that are impacting men and women, down to policy, down to, we talk about family court, IPV, representation, like real issues that are going on in the Black community. I would love to see that.
Yeah, he don't want none of that. Like, he talked to BTS for 2 seconds and realized that's not it. Maybe he would talk to Jeff St. James. That's like the closest I would see, because he's building a platform that kind of may allow to honey trap, somebody like that. Because the people that he has on there, and he has shown he'll talk to other people, and because he's like, he has his licenses and everything.
Yes.
But so, T. Hasan does too. But he does, because the thing about FD, what's the dude from Eggs and that light skinned dude?
Yeah,
I can't stand him. He's worse than FD, but he might do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that they did. I haven't had a chance to fully, but I heard they did something recently about like burning the grave or something. What was it? Kevin Samuels? I don't even know. I think I was kind of like taking a break then, but it was, I thought I heard that him and FD did a live, basically talking about Kevin Samuels and how his legacy needs to be destroyed. And I'm like, to me, I don't have a problem with smoke, but like, why now? Like, why y'all couldn't do this when he was alive?
Well, I mean, and like, imagine, even though I technically could say this, imagine if I said Bell Hooks' legacy needs to be destroyed. Like, I can make an argument that The Color Purple did more damage to the black community than The Birth of a Nation.
You could.
The Birth of a Nation. I'm talking about the original Birth of a
The
Nation.
original Birth of the Nation. No, I
Like,
could.
so when we talk, so just like this is the time, like when Nate Parker tries to do what he does with the new Birth of a Nation, and then they hit, because remember, they ruined his career because a white woman packed herself up. That he beat that case with white people on the jury. It was more white people on that jury, and he beat that case.
Yeah.
And she packed herself up, and then he basically paid for that and he raised his own money for that movie. I remember because it was Michael Finley. I think Steph Curry put some money in that movie too. So again, they like, we can't have that. So they sat there, and Gabrielle Union got it because she threw the movie under the bus, even though she was a part of the movie. So this just the fact that you have this idea of destroying black men. Remember, his mother raised him, and he's got a daughter. Let's be clear about that, And just the fact that you have that in your mind. Notice that you ain't talking about destroying Diddy's legacy. You ain't talking about destroying R. Kelly's legacy. You talking about destroying this dude's legacy. Like, for you to even put that out there like that on a man that can't defend himself, like, why don't you talk about destroying Dr. Francis Quest Welson's legacy? Hell, why don't you talk about destroying Shahrazad Ali's legacy? So you're not going to have that conversation. It's like the fact that you're even willing to go there like that just shows you the intent. Like, the intense misandry. Like, y'all are up there with, like, Jared. I'm sorry, I got to say this. I do not separate FD from Jared Taylor or Richard Spencer or Nick Fuentes. They're on the same side when it comes to black men. And the thing with FD that really angers me about him is, I got to sing you this clip. FD actually knows that this system is very matriarchal. He's actually said it. Like, there's an interview that he got when he was sitting there. He said when it broke him, when it came to the system, it was something about he was a social worker at these schools helping these kids. Something where he was more than a social worker, but it was like a counselor. And basically, let me see if I'll find the video and play it if you want.
That's fine. Okay, while you're doing that, let me, I want to make sure I get to these super chats, and then also members, if any members want to come up, I'm going to pull up this video too of this black woman who was talking about why Meg The Stallion is like a mascot. Okay, here it says, Birth of a Nation sparked lynchings. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Well, I think, there's this argument because, here's the thing about it. So how do you put about it? There's this argument I hear between, what's worse, white supremacy, or if you think of like toxic radical black feminism. And the thing about white supremacy is, as horrible as it's been, at least when black men and black women are working together cohesively, they're able to survive. They're able to still move and do what they need to do. You know what I mean? There's a level of cohesiveness and there's a level of power that you have when you work together. But a house divided against itself literally cannot stand. And so in some ways, it's like, okay, so is it worse when the attack is coming from outside of the camp, or is it worse when the attack is coming from inside the camp? And that's the tension, or that's the debate that I've heard for some time. Okay, here it says, don't forget the meltdown when Travis got the yes. And she even brought the video that I posted yesterday of that influencer. I think her name is Dana something, where she she just went full blown misandrous in that particular rant. She brought up Taylor Swift, and I'm like, it's not. Taylor Swift and Meg The Stallion they're not like an equivalent comparison in so many different ways, so many reasons. Taylor Swift has not put a white man behind bars. Okay, she hasn't put any man behind bars, to my understanding. Like, she doesn't have a song called WAP. Okay, and she doesn't have a brand. Like, she, in her own personal life, she may have had a lot of bodies, right, or a lot of boyfriends at least. But her brand isn't like actively going around promoting being a hoe. So it's like they're not the same comparison. Here it says there's a documentary that has just dropped. It's Meg The Stallion 2021 case with Tory. Megan just literally admitted she lied to Gayle King and Tory Lanez. Is this on Netflix? I'm curious. Since you're showing love, shout out to you, Game Changer with the 5. I appreciate you. Here it says, my thing is sisters never appreciate a Jalen Hurts or a Devontae Smith for loving a black woman out loud, but will praise a white man, Travis Kelce, for having an on and off relationship with a black woman at one time. Sad. Yeah, that's true. Black love does not. It just honestly, it just doesn't get the numbers. I can even say on my channel, I talk about love, marriage, or whatever. I may still do it just for my own personal reasons or because I want to, but I don't expect it to get the same numbers. It's just like, oh, black men are calling out black women for being misogynist, right? Or oh, another black woman says she hates black men. Like they just don't do the same numbers. They don't. And I don't know if it's because of the algorithm. I don't know if it's because people don't want to see black love.
It's not. It's because they don't want to see it. It's not the algorithm.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it I can't charge it, but it's the same thing on TikTok, which is a different algorithm. It's the same thing you on Instagram or Instagram, which is a different algorithm. Unfortunately, like I said, man, a lot of I keep saying it. They don't want to be black. Like when you understand that really their contempt and anger towards black men is really their way of putting that in a mirror. Meaning they can't hate themselves because that'll cause some crazy stuff. But what they will do is they'll say they hate black men because black men are a reflection of their blackness.
Yeah,
and I've heard black women say this. I've heard black women say, when they actually love themselves more, they actually like black men.
You're right. Now I will say on Twitter, like if I listen, all the black male affirmation videos out here that people hate, if I put it on X, it'll get some good traction. But also X is a whole different paradigm because there's like a lot of Nazis on there. So I feel like people are just looking for a breath of fresh air. So I will say like my black love content on X tends to do a little better. But I think there's something else that I've also noticed outside of black women who actually they're like black women who have happy relationships with men, period. Even black men or white men, whatever. Like they're cool. Like they don't have this antagonism towards black love. But there's something about black women who have, their own frustration with black men. Maybe daddy wasn't there. Maybe they've had, their heart's been broken, whatever. And they see another black woman who is happy with a black man. Like that burns them on a different level. And then if you add into that self-hatred, like this idea that it would be better if I wasn't dark skinned, I would have more love if I wasn't, like when you add that into that whole mix, I mean, you get a lot of what we got right now.
Yeah, don't be a content creator and you actually and you weren't married and you get married to a black man and they find out. That's happened a couple of times on TikTok where their numbers just start free falling.
Or when they get to
or some of them lie, or some of them what it is they go like if they're in the middle. Now there's some black women on TikTok that this one is a chick with a big forehead that I'm thinking about, and she always is talking crap about black men, but she's married to a black man.
Well, okay, I think the only way, like, what's her name? I Am Aloho. She was married to a black man, and I don't know that hit her numbers as much. I think as long as you still stay on code, though. I don't know though. I haven't really studied it.
It depends on the chick. You're right. If you have been on code and you spit that good fire. When it comes to these dudes ain't ish, they'll get a pass for it because then they'll frame it like you're dominating the man, But if you're one of these in the middle and like, then you weren't married, so you'd be like, I understand, and you'd be like, oh, I'm married, and like just like saying like just you're happy for being married, right? That's gonna be if he's a black man, that's gonna be a problem.
It's gonna be a problem. Like here's let Shay start going on her husband over a fight. Yep. Like and I've literally seen channels I never heard about these channels, and then a black woman in her bonnet goes in her car at night, goes live and is crying, is like, I think I hate my husband, or I'm gonna leave my husband, and then all of a sudden she got 1 million views, but before that she was getting 3,000, 10,000, 5,000. But as soon as she said she hated her husband and that black men are this, and that, now all of a sudden her numbers go up. And now all of a sudden
a lot of people are doing it for a bag. This is why you're seeing a lot of these panda channels where dudes are they're like ridiculous with it. They're like absolutely ridiculous with it, being antagonistic towards men. It's a bag. It really is.
That's why when I first started and people were accusing me of pandering to men to get money, and I'm like, are you kidding me? if I wanted to make money, I'm not going to pander to men. Like men don't like, men are slower to open up their pocketbooks when it comes to that stuff. You know what I mean? Like they're not so quick to be like, oh, you hate women, like here's $20. Like that's not, consumers are women. Like if you work at any agency, consumers are overwhelmingly women. This is why a lot of the television shows, Netflix series, it's women, because women consume more than men. So I'm like, if I wanted to pander and get money, it would be women. That would be a smarter business move. I would actually be hurting my my bottom line if I was thinking, okay, let me just try to pander to men. I'm like, no, I have a smaller market.
Yeah, rage baiting is definitely like the new thing now, where they just, so yeah, I can't find it. So when I find it, I'll email it to you, because it was crazy. Because I'm like, oh, so you do know what it is. But yeah, it's like even with him, man. I mean, FD's a sellout. FD is basically like the liberal version of a coon. It really, because like everything. Because first of all, his analytics, like he tries to say mostly black people listen to him. I know that's not true.
You said like, mostly black people are what?
Listen to him. I know that's not true. Most of his audience is white. He's on that side of it. But, you know, I have my own. I'll leave that alone. I'll leave room for other. I mean, I appreciate you having me up and everything. I know you got, you know, your members and stuff like that. And they know how I am. So, we'll like,
yeah. It's all good.
Anyway, but well, yeah.
Thanks for calling in. I'm going to bring up this video, too. I think Game Changer said he wanted to call in. Mm-hmm. Game Changer, if you want to call in. And then any members, I don't know if any members are here.
The people that are seeing.
Yeah, so this is the one I was going to play real quick. Said Meg The Stallion is exposing what y'all think. This is the one where she talks about basically being the mascot. Meg The Stallion being the mascot. So Game Changer, if you want to call in real quick, and I think I had some members. If y'all want to call in, I got a few more minutes, then I'm gonna wrap up. Okay, let's get through this.
I think the people that are saying things like, oh, do you know Megan personally, or it's celebrity gossip regarding what's happening between Meg and Klay, are missing a really important thing about Meg The Stallion, but also black women in general. And they also don't understand why we are as protective of Meg as we are. Over the course of her career, she has centered black women and the mental health and wellness of black women in every single thing that she does. She has been a radical representation of the reclamation of feminism, of femininity, and also of like joy and irreverence and fun that we haven't seen in a really long time. And she's also been dragged through the mud and experienced violence, has been victimized by violence, by media, and by men at scale. And we've all had to watch this play out. And in watching that, we see a mirror into the way that the world treats us, the way our partners, fathers, men in general treat black women. And so it's not a question of whether this particular instance is celebrity worship or getting too lost in the sauce in terms of pop culture. It's about the ways that we have all managed to find solidarity, and how Megan as a person and as, I guess, a pedestaled individual has facilitated that.
Hey, Game Changer, what's going on?
Nothing much. How you doing?
Good. I got a few minutes. Hey, what's going on? Shout out to you. Shout out to the members. Shout out to all you guys, first of all. But a special shout out to the members. If I got any members here, y'all feel free to call in. If y'all have any thoughts y'all want to share on this whole silly, useless gender war over nothing. So I'm just playing this video of a black woman who's basically talking about why and how Meg The Stallion became a mascot for black women. I want to first also reiterate that she's not a mascot for me. She certainly don't speak for me, okay? And I'm sure there's other black women out there who do not identify with Meg The Stallion and her brand. But clearly there are many who do. So that's what we're playing. Do you have any thoughts, Game Changer, before I continue with this video?
Yes. So I came up because of the title, and I really don't follow Meg The Stallion. I know that she's popular, but I haven't listened to modern music in quite some time. And I know that, you know, a lot of women, she's always in the middle of some controversy or something like that. Mm-hmm. From what I understand of her, I think that the appeal is that she represents what black women want to believe, and that is that WAP is the end all be all.
Yeah.
And what happens when she gets rejected, when, you know, someone breaks up with her, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they're breaking up with the entire concept of WAP. It's like I mean, for them to see something like that happen, it's kind of like having a crackhead say no thank you to crack. That's their perception. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, so and that's why the sisterhood is lashing out. That's why they're a little upset. I don't really know what black men have to do with it. Maybe because the guy is black. I don't know, but
Well, he's
or
only
maybe
back
because
because he cheated. Let's remember that he's only back because he cheated. Because Klay Thompson, by their definition, is a light-skinned mixed exotical with a white mom. So he shouldn't really count, but he became full-blooded Negro as soon as he cheated on Meg. Let's just be clear about that.
oh, okay.
But also, and if you're not really missing out on much. A lot of ladies were, first of all, they were triggered by a fact that there was a meme made about her, which there was a meme made about her, and it just showed some of the different public relationships or just public flings that she's had, and a lot of women took issue to that. And my thing was, first of all, while I'm not saying it's particularly right, there are memes for so many celebrities. Like there have been so many female celebrities that have been roasted through memes. Taylor Swift, Kim Kardashian, J Lo, any woman who has a public history of having a lot of different men partners, like the internet roasts them. But somehow black women saw that meme and first of all attributed that to black men, which we don't even know who made the meme. And then second of all said, oh, see, y'all hate black women and y'all went too far and why would you do this meme? So like they made it seem as if Meg The Stallion was being uniquely targeted. And then secondly, they were looking at the response of a lot of black men. And like I said, like you said, a lot of black men are just like, yeah, WAP is not the end all be all. Just because the lady has WAP doesn't mean that translates into a long-term relationship. And so you had men who were just like, yeah, this is not surprising. Kind of like we told y'all. But then a lot of ladies are taking this as, oh, see, now black men hate black women. They're celebrating a black woman's heart being broken. So kind of like missing each other in translation to a certain extent.
Are black men celebrating her heart being broken?
I mean, I'm sure there's some weirdos online who are doing what. I mean, you will go and find weirdos online, wherever. But
Right.
I don't think I saw. My thing is, I don't know that black men particularly care. Like, they don't really. I don't know. I don't know most men to be really concerned about who other men are sleeping with. I think what they care more about is, well, the fact that it was more just like, y'all are so condensed and y'all are trying to make us be condensed that we have to sit here and just accept WAP as if that is the end all be all. And we've been telling you there's more to that. And so when they saw Klay Thompson, right, this high value man with Meg The Stallion, and she's all about WAP, and it didn't work out. They're like, see, we told y'all that that's not the end all be all. That's not going to save a relationship. So that's kind of what I've seen. But again, I haven't gone and looked at like every single comment. I haven't gone and looked at every single post, but I just feel there's a lot of ladies that are mad, and that just comes to the territory.
Well, you know something, it was because I didn't know. Like I said, I didn't really follow the story. I didn't know until you just told me that he cheated on her.
Oh yeah, he cheated. Yeah, so he cheated. So what had happened was, and here's the thing, and here's another thing too. It's like we're acting as if Meg The Stallion has a flawless history as far as her words are concerned. Like she's admitted to lying. So for all we know, this story could be fabricated or there could be stuff left out that we don't know about. But what we do know is that she allegedly he allegedly cheated on her. To this day, he hasn't even said anything, but he allegedly cheated on her and said he wanted to see other people. So she got mad and put it on stories basically and called him out on like IG stories. Okay, so she was talking stuff. He hasn't said a word. Klay Thompson has said nothing. And so they're also running off of the narrative, according to Meg The Stallion. This is the same woman who basically admitted to lying on Gayle King and lying about Tory Lanez, who was serving time today. This is the same woman. So I'm like, she didn't necessarily have like a flawless, reputation as far as her words are concerned either.
Yeah.
That's the story.
Okay, so I mean, I think when you brought that up, that he cheated on her, I think that's another avenue that black women are upset. And keep in mind that black women default upset with black men.
Yeah.
Let's start there. So every time they're upset, they will find a reason that it's Jermaine's fault, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
So, it doesn't really matter if black men are going to, they're upset about something, and really we're the only people that listen or cares. So they express their concerns against black men. Secondly, I think that that's a really more of a sobering reality as it pertains to WAP. And the reality is they don't have the monopoly on it.
Yeah.
Far from it, because half of the adult population have one. So
Really, it's not
it's
that.
not really, you didn't really corner the market on that, especially for a very eligible person. So I think that reality really hits home, because a lot of them, particularly the lesser attractive ones, are under the impression that all they need in life is a WAP.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's what I argue against all day, every day. I'm like, that's just dumb. First, I mean, I think it's just dumb on so many different levels. And it's not impressive because, like you said, well, nearly 50% of the population offers that. So what's their unique value proposition? Like, that's not a unique value proposition.
Exactly, and that's a very sobering reality for them that they're upset about, and they're taking it out on black men. That's what I've gleaned from the situation.
Right.
They go for it.
No, I'm listening.
No, I'm just saying because what I've seen in the past, say, 30 years, is a depreciation of value in femininity, and that has to be backed by something. It has to be backed by, okay, because they still want the same things that they did in the 90s. Let's just say, and however they presumably have reduced their access to it by not taking care of their hair properly, by not taking care of their bodies properly, by not maintaining a feminine demeanor, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm like, how do they expect to get what they wanted with the men? But they've come to the conclusion that all they need to have is a WAP. It doesn't matter if it's overweight. It doesn't matter if it wears a bonnet. It doesn't matter if it smells funny. All you need is to have one. They base their life's principle on this, and come to find out that it was an illusion.
It's a complete illusion. It's complete. I mean, I think, me personally, I think her entire brand is that. I
think it caters to it. I haven't heard any of her music or anything like that, but from what I hear, it does seem like her entire, like City Girl, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, her whole persona is about that. It is to speak to them.
Well, it is.
It's interesting that women like that, women like her, appeal to women. Like, before, let's just say 20, 30 years ago, if someone would have told me that the SEXXX symbol woman was appealing to women, it wouldn't make sense, because typically women like that are to, female entertainers who are half naked on stage are really meant to appeal to men.
Right. No, absolutely.
Yeah. Go for it.
No, I'm sorry. And this woman in this video that I'm a little playing, she speaks to it. She speaks to exactly what you said. It's the way that they frame it. It's the way that they see it. It's almost as if the position that men had, as far as being able to sexually subjugate. That's the way that these ladies frame it. Being able to sexually subjugate and be in positions of dominance in the sexual market. That's what these ladies desire. And so that's what Meg The Stallion, that's what she represents, this like sexual dominance, right? Basically getting in places where men were.
Wait,
I don't know why you want that role.
What does that even look like? What does female sexual dominance look like?
Well, and like, I mean, even if you think of like WAP, right, where it's all about, and again, I haven't listened to a ton of her songs, so I'll have to go off of just the few small things that I've known or are aware of and seen. But the whole concept was like, if you think of like sex positive feminism, which is about removing shame from women being open about their sexual exploits, their sexual desires, and their desire to sexually dominate men, kind of like a dominatrix almost kind of vibe. And I think that's more in line with what Meg The Stallion would represent in her music and what she does. It's like, you know, instead of, because, you know, a lot of ladies would look at sexual purity as being a byproduct of patriarchy and something that oppresses, subjugates women, keeps them from being able to express their fullness and their full power. So under that, and even you think of this girl right here, right? Like who talks about dark Lilith energy.
You don't like that.
Where she talks a little bit about it. Let me see if I can go back. She kind of talks about this idea of like women who are sexy, how they're able to use their sexuality.
Megan Thee Stallion has Lilith in Scorpio.
She's talking about Lilith.
Scorpio.
Yeah.
What this does is it
not familiar with story of Lilith.
Who is highly.
I'm gonna meet you for a second because you're a bit.
Okay.
And sexual, and powerful, and rebellious, all at once. And the problem with this is patriarchy in general, whether we talk about men or women, don't like this shit. They don't like it because men don't like it because what do you mean you that smexy? You that powerful and I can't possess you? What do you mean you know your own power and you won't let me have that shit? You won't let me have ownership over that shit, have some form of control over that shit. Because a Lilith and Scorpio, psychologically, they are so in tune with the truth of their own power that they are sovereign, just as they know everybody else is sovereign. They know the truth of humanity. This is why Lilith got her ass up from up under that man, because the whole, y'all know the story. She wanted to be on top, he ain't want on top. She's sitting there questioning shit, like, why I can't be on top? So now she's questioning shit. She goes into the depths and starts to question shit that she ain't supposed to necessarily question. Because why? Because he's bigger. Because he's perceivably more powerful. And she's like, well, why is that? You know, she goes back and forth to the point that she gets to this revelation of, I don't want to do this shit. You got me fucked up. That is Lilith in the flesh. Men will always have a fucking vendetta against a woman who is that prominent with Lilith energy. I'm trying to tell you. Unless he is extremely woke. I ain't talking about regular woke, because you got levels to woke when it comes to the benefit and the privilege of patriarchy. You know, they get real normal when it comes to the privileges of patriarchy. A woman who has Lilith and Scorpio challenges the shit out of a man, because now she has a certain level of sex appeal that makes him feel weak.
Okay. So I don't know if that kind of explains a little bit more about what she represents to some of these ladies, as far as the dominatrix kind of vibe.
Okay. I think that I'm giving away a secret that I shouldn't give to women, that I've always been happy that they didn't know. You're not dominating anything when you ride me. And if it makes you feel better to think that you are, then have at it. Not if you're fat. But I mean, like a generally attractive feminist woman who thinks that she's fighting the power by riding me, hey, go for it. And it's largely because I'm older and lazier now that I don't care if you think that way. You're not okay. Guys measure like control, as far as sexual dominance, like when it happens, how many partners you can have it with, and how it happens when it does happen. Like that's how we measure it. Women kind of like have that baked in the cake. They have complete and total access to all of that instantly. So you're not really striving for anything by doing that. In that regard, I do think that the type of power that they seek is this godlike. Well, okay.
Yeah, it's almost like, I'll let you finish and then I'll add, but
Shahrazad Ali said that, you know, a woman has the power to take a man to heaven or hell. I think that that's what they're referring to. Like the moment a man approaches, she decides yay or nay, and she decides, you know, how far and how much, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that that feeling is temporarily empowering, and that's what's lacking right now, and that's what's gotten a lot of women upset.
Yeah. So, you know, on what you're saying, these women, they some of them they do desire this kind of like this occult like power that you're talking about, this ability to be able to control and manipulate and dominate a man's destiny through their WAP. And this is what Meg The Stallion talks about. I know some of you guys in here mentioned her being involved in the occult. I definitely believe that. She definitely moves with dark energy, which is why I said she don't represent me, because she goes completely against my spiritual values. And even, you know, you have this whole thing about now Etsy witches are trying to cast spells on Klay Thompson after this Meg The Stallion thing. Like these ladies are going a little cuckoo, in my opinion. But they desire a kind of power and dominance that God naturally gave men. That's really what it comes down to. In my opinion, this is all about trying to usurp the God-given order of, you know, man and wife and children, and like the spiritual order that is that nature, you know, naturally has when we're operating under that. They desire to usurp that. They desire to try to create a new, it's almost like a new world order, a new way of doing things that goes against God's design, and it never really fully works. It never fully works, you know. So
power is a means to an end. I mean, to what end do they want this power?
Well, you see, you know what I mean? You see, I don't even know that I don't even know that that's even thought through. I don't think it's necessarily thought through. I think it's more of just a desire to have and possess than it is to actually do something with it. You know what I mean?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
What in particular power that men have that they want? What power do men collectively have that they want?
Well, that's a good question. I think. I mean, if you want to think about the toxic aspect of feminism almost being about wanting to reverse the patriarchy, of wanting to be in the positions of power that they believe that men have, politically, socially, in family sectors, and that's where I'm saying where it was like, and I come from a perspective, obviously from a Christ follower, and believing that there is a natural order that men and women have. That's not to say that we don't have our own different personalities. But I believe it's like, okay, like in my household, right? Ultimately, my husband is the head of the household.
Mm-hmm.
He submits to Christ, I submit to him. We have, you know, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, and it doesn't mean that I always understand everything, and you know, we still work out things. But it's like there's ultimately an order to things, and that means, as such, there's just certain responsibilities, and there's a certain level of, to a certain extent, control that he has, that God gave him, that I learn to respect. Just like, you know, you have kids, and it doesn't mean you hate the kids, but it's like there's a certain level of power and authority that parents are going to have over kids because they're kids. You know what I mean? And if you try to cross that, yeah. So what I'm saying is like I firmly believe that it's like, even if you think about order, spiritual order, or even authority, these are things that feminists, especially I think broken women, naturally are going to scoff at, or they're going to naturally hate. Sometimes because they may come from places of abuse, right? Sometimes because they come from places of being whatever, brainwashed or whatever. But these are things that women scoff at. But at the same time, these are women who also complain about wanting control, wanting to be protected, wanting to be provided for, wanting to be led. And the thing about it is protection, provision, leadership are all connected also to authority, and are also connected to, again, the things that are naturally assigned to masculinity. So at the same time, it's like, I feel like it's like, okay, they desire these things from men, but then they fear it. And then they want to try to be it, but then when they are faced with the consequences of it, then it's too much.
No, I agree. I agree.
So yeah, but
Wanting power
so
without
I want to go back and
responsibility.
finish.
I'll go for it.
Huh?
No, I said
Yeah,
wanting
power
power
without
without
responsibility.
responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly, because of all, and like I said, I can go back to scripture where it talks about the headship in marriage, and it talks about, okay, a man submits to Christ. Christ is the head of Christ. Christ is the head of the man, and then the woman submits to their husband. Right now,
Right.
the context of that is that the scripture instructs the wife to respect her husband. The scripture instructs the husband to lay down his life for his wife. So the man with leadership, the more authority, also has a heavier burden. And that's the part they also don't understand, where it's like, hey, y'all want to desire to be in these powers and position, be in these positions of power or leadership or authority, but you forget that there's a heavier responsibility associated with that. Like if something goes wrong in a family, like even if you think of the Justin Fairfax, Serena Fairfax, no, that ended horribly. But if something was going wrong, even before, right? Like people are always going to look to the man if something is going wrong, if there's financial issues of abuse, housing instability, whatever. People are always going to look to the man. If the man is around, if there's a husband, people are naturally going to look and say, what's going on with the man? What is the husband doing or not doing? Like that is the burden that men generally hold when it comes to what's going on with their family. Even if the wife could be crazy, she could be, a gambling addiction, she could be a prostitute, whatever. If something is going on that's impacting the family that other people are seeing, they're going to be like, what is the husband doing about it? So I feel like that speaks to, again, they want the position of power, but then when it comes to the accountability, it's like, I don't want that.
Exactly. It's funny because it says on page 4 of the Bible, I should put enmity between, thy desire shall be for thy husband, and I will put enmity between man and woman, and he shall rule over thee. This was God talking to Eve.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of different interpretations of that, but some would say this is why when they say when they're not reborn, that is to say, like when they haven't given their life to Christ and they are operating under their sin nature, their natural tendency is going to want to usurp men. It's going to be to want to try to control, dominate, or essentially not to respect the position of authority men are in. This is what I've heard some theologians say. And again, I don't pretend to be like, I'm not like a I didn't go to theological school, but that's some interpretations that I've heard. Women not acting in their sinful carnal nature are naturally going to be inclined to be rebellious towards the place that men are in society, or towards the place that God placed them.
I have a psychological theory that I'll share with you after you play the rest of this.
Okay. Let me go back. Okay, because I think we were.
Black women don't often get to be multifaceted, and Black women that are pro-women don't often get to be visibly loudly in love without risking significant humiliation. I saw a post from Jasmine's Garden, I'll tag her below, about why it makes sense that Black witches all over are lighting black candles with Klay's name carved into them.
Did you hear that? She said Black witches are carved. That's a whole nother topic. I might just do a video on that, but just note for thought. There are Etsy witches right now who are casting spells on Klay Thompson. Just FYI. What's going on, Chaos Rain? I saw you hanging out in the back. If you have a few things you want to share. But just for context, so you guys know, there are witches right now trying to cast spells on Klay Thompson. I think this is insane, but.
Yeah, I mean, it really shows. You got it, Chaos.
No, go ahead. Say something crazy as I get my mic set up. Say something. Go ahead.
It really shows because men cheat. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but men cheat and women get cheated on. But this particular situation hit home for the reasons that I previously stated. In my opinion, it's because it disproves the whole WAP theory that they have going on.
Right.
So they disdain him for that. They're not lighting black candles for all the other guys, for Bill Clinton, Bill Cosby, or anything like that. It's really just this guy.
I'm gonna play this real quick.
Klay lost the game.
Oh wait, I don't want to play that song. Wait, let me see if I can pull this down. But if you see, these are some witches doing some. they were doing some witchcraft on him.
So it's funny and not making fun of this, but I do think that a lot of black women take that type of stuff seriously. If you recall, one of the scenes from Color Purple, where Celie held up her three fingers, and she gave the curse, and it has stopped Mister like mid slap. They I think that they really believe that. Like that's like, oh, I was gonna slap you, but you put your three fingers up, and that's like
People that are
and it's like he's been smacking her for like 20 years, and she just thought of that. Like
I didn't even think about that. No, but again, this I think this goes back to, listen, witchcraft. I do believe witchcraft is real. I do believe witchcraft is real, and there are people who actually do move in true spiritual power. Most of these women online are just broke, and they're just doing a few little spells that they got off of Amazon, okay, and they don't really have true spiritual power. They're just confused. They're just walking in the power of confusion. Like, that's as far as it goes. But there are people out there who are moving with a level of spiritual authority, if you will. But I think for most of these ladies, it's kind of more of like a fantasy than it is actual reality. Like I said, the only power they have is a power of confusion, and that's what they operate in.
Well, yeah, no, I agree with you. Just like on Sinners, when you seen that woman, and it's like, there's no way Michael B. Jordan would be into her, but she has witch powers. So, I mean, isn't that like
it does happen?
It makes sense, yeah.
No, it does happen. Like I mean, but the people that I know or I'm aware of who actually, and when I say they legitimately have walked or do walk in some form of spiritual power, it's not like they just woke up one day, they had a heartbreak, and they went on Amazon, got a book, and did a few spells. It's like, no, these people were actually initiated into a system. And oftentimes these are initiations that are not public. People cannot be publicly aware with. There's a level of secrecy. Like it's its own form. It's its own processes. So that's why I'm like, no, the stuff is real, but half the stuff you see online, people grabbing sage, lemon, cayenne pepper, and a dog tail, you're not being serious. Like, you're just mad, you may be broke, your heart is shattered, and you're confused, and you're just trying to find a way to seek for power in a situation where you're ultimately powerless and probably just need God and some spiritual authority in your life.
Yeah.
He said Team was rich. Yes. Most of these ladies are on, well, actually Etsy, literally, because these ladies are going on Etsy to get.
Well, let's be fair, honest. I know Mr. Fun to talk about this thing about the witchcraft thing. And I look at it with the low-level spiritual witchcraft that these chicks are trying to conduct. If it works on black men, which I doubt it does, but let's go there, right? Why it can't get you out of white supremacy? That's the biggest question. If you're able to put this mumbo jumbo, shouldn't you be able to attract your Mr. Cartwright with this witchcraft? Oh, it don't work. I'm shocked.
Listen, like I said,
listen. They try to manifest a white man. They said, let me put this and play this voodoo doll and take a piece of something and pin it. Baby, stop it. You need to stop watching Shira 7. You need to stop watching these chicks that call themselves voodoo, goddess, princess, all this nonsense. Let me tell you something. These women that's online teaching you about game and all this stuff, I would tell black women personally, go back to your mother. Go find a respectful person in your family and sit down, listen to them advice if they have any, and go get a husband. It was that bad. All this extra mumbo jumbo trying to con a person's pockets or whatever, it's not working for most of y'all. And they're supposed to work, because that's now, if this thing really works, it's not what it's meant to design for. To attract another dude so you can open your box and grind on him and be a throat goat. And then move on to the next dude.
I wanted to real quick, and then I have about 10 more minutes and I'm gonna have to wrap this up. But I'm gonna try to finish this video, but it's kind of connected to what she just said, because she kind of went on a tangent on witchcraft. And I've had this debate with my husband, right, about which women can be the most chaotic to deal with. And he had mentioned to me, he was like, anytime, generally, if a man hears a woman that says, "Oh, I'm spiritual," I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, but they kind of come with this like coded esoteric energy when they're introducing themselves. He was like, 9 times out of 10, those women are like by far the most insane. That's not to say you can't find insane women who are, in church or connected to other organized religions. But he was like, I feel like some of the most insane are usually those who are practicing their own form of spirituality outside of any organization or accountability. I don't know if you guys have noticed that.
Well, I mean, in my dating life, and I've said this on my channel before, I do notice that zodiac women tend to be a little unpredictable in their behavior. And I make it a point to try to predict behavior. They seem to be extraordinarily erratic, and that's well.
So zodiac women are like, "Oh, what's your sign? Oh, this is my sign. Okay, we match," or "No, we shouldn't match because the stars and all that stuff."
Exactly.
Okay.
No, those type. I don't know if that's what your husband was describing when he said spiritual but not religious. But that particular, no, that particular pattern I've seen. It's a bit of a red flag.
Okay.
Well, since you asked this question, personally, I never really come across a woman that, if they want to admit, so they play with these things or use these things not only on herself but to men, or watch or buy books for manifestation. Personally, I look at it as another form of what they call it, touching himself in a mental way. Because a lot of women like to play with themselves, so this is like another form of that in nature. To know the possibility that this will work, and there works speaks for itself. But any more on this video on this lady? Shaysha?
Yes. Okay, so let me finish. I know she had briefly mentioned witchcraft and the Etsy witches coming out to go against Klay Thompson. So okay, you're gonna play
things like
you can go right here.
Have all managed to find solidarity, and how Megan as a person and as, I guess, a pedestaled individual has facilitated that. Intelligent Black women don't often get to be multifaceted, and Black women that are pro-women don't often get to be visibly loudly in love without risking significant humiliation. I saw a post from Jasmine's Garden, I'll tag her below, about why it makes sense that Black witches all over are lighting black candles with Klay's name carved into them. It's not just specifically about what happened to Meg, it's about the way that we are constantly treated, degraded, and discarded. And even the fact that Meg was able to be so transparent with her relationship, but also with the fallout of it, is an indication of the kind of solidarity that she specifically has created with Black women, with her fans, as a Black woman just going through it, just going through life. When we talk about protecting Meg, we talk about protecting Black women. When we say believe Black women, trust Black women, care for, love Black women, Megan is a perfect example of that.
Okay, what do you guys think so far?
Well, I'd like to hear her talk more about the mistreatment of Black women, especially as it pertains to Meg The Stallion, because all women get cheated on. That's not really like a uniquely Black woman thing, and it's really not a uniquely woman thing.
That's true.
There's a certain arrogance that goes along with, I shouldn't be cheated on because I'm a Black woman. That to me, that's very arrogant. I don't even have words for that. I mean, that's like getting cut off in the freeway and saying to the person, "Don't you know I'm a Black man?" Like, these are things that happen to people. Where did she get off with that?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting take.
Well, I would say in regards to the cheating aspect, and it's a good thing you mentioned about this cheating thing, and enough content creators have covered this. But my thing with cheating personally is to a lot of women, and really truly, these women saying that's defending Meg said they can go cheat on their boyfriends. So you just admit you've been cheating all along. But the bigger point is that men love variety. Some men are gonna be honest with you and say that they want more than one woman, and some men not. But you should know the nature of people. There's more of you than me. So obviously you're going to be fighting for the little small pool of men here. And some men are going to mess around with some of the women, and some women are going to be fine with it. You get me? And for you to sit there say, and this is my thing that I've learned, Shay, and you probably know this. Only women have a big issue when men go out there and exercise option to have more than one woman, either they know about it or not. The only thing they don't like is that they can't do it too, and be upfront honest with dudes that they're messing with. I have not known one woman that sit to say, "Hey, I like you, but I like have other things on the side." You down? They're never gonna tell you that. Cause the minute you tell any man, not just black men, just men in general, that they're gonna be play your game a little bit, but after a while, they're just gonna draw a distance after they get that booty, and eventually, if he likes the booty, he'll call you, like anything else. So Klay did not play in Meg's face. Either if that was, and let's be honest, I don't believe no beep about a man cheating. You have not shown no proof, no evidence. All you just put it on the internet, and all the hyenas walk and listen to it and believe it. And they go out the way to even call this dude a beige Negro. No good beige. What?
Well, as I mentioned before, this is all based upon what Meg The Stallion has said publicly. Klay Thompson has said absolutely nothing. For all we know, the entire situation could have been a PR stunt, the entire relationship. We don't really know because we're not them. So this is all speculation, and this is coming from a woman who has a documented history of lying. So that's why I'm taking kind of everything with a grain of salt. But if nothing else, it just has a reason for people to be at each other's necks for their own logical reasons.
And here's the weirdest twist. They said that men should hold a more higher ground in regards to integrity. I said to hold that higher ground, you got to be around positive, integral people. We live in a day and age where most people have no integrity, no morals, no nothing. So if you're gonna be trying to play somebody, you're gonna get played too. Is the problem with this whole conversation that's still being talked about almost 2 weeks going on, that a lot of you women can't be out on the streets and come back home to find no square. Those days are done. And I'm not saying Klay is a square because we don't know much about Klay besides his accomplishments as a basketball player. Y'all give this man a lot of attention, a lot of airway, and this dude, all he did was, spend some money, blow Meg back out, and eventually got tired and just sent it back to the streets where she belongs. He said, "The streets are calling you, baby. So thus the streets you go back to." And funny thing, they said there was something that she's walking around another man on some basketball game. Can you imagine?
Like I said, it's just mess. Like I said, this whole thing is a mess. And starting from her brand representation, I don't condone cheating, but I also don't condone sexual promiscuity. I'm very clear about what I believe and how I believe a woman should, or ideally should behave before marriage, after marriage. I know a lot of women don't ascribe to that, and that's fine. But I'm just saying, she's actively promoted herself as a hoe, and so there are consequences associated with that. The laws of reaping and sowing are always in effect. You throw a ball in the air, it's going to hit the ground. So if you act like a hoe, that's your brand, then you can't be surprised if you are treated like one. And I think that's where a lot of women get, that's where the disconnect comes from, where it's like, if y'all feel like she's being discarded or she's being disrespected, to a certain extent, she's actually receiving the behavior that traditionally have received. And if you want her to have more respect, hey, I'm not mad at it, but then you would have to, as a woman, also respect yourself. Right?
Exactly. And Meg has not shown that she actually respects self.
Yeah.
She doesn't give off that, and even when she said, "I did all this," yes, you did all this for the possibility of a long-term and a marriage. Nothing's guaranteed. I mean, I'm not sure back in the day when you were in a relationship with your now former husband that you had to do little things, to please the man to eventually go even far as to get on one knee and give you the ring. Am I right? I'm Shay. A lot of women think that they want.
That's none of our business. Okay, that's none of our business.
No, I don't. I was very clear even when I was engaged.
Mhm.
Or it's like, no, I don't do that because I'm a Christ follower.
Okay,
so
okay, good. But the point is this, that you're gonna have to do something because this man is because you're trying to get wifed up even at her age, right? Okay, fine.
I don't know
There's
that
there's nothing guaranteed what you do. Most dudes do more anyway, just to eventually see if the woman they like is going down and eventually give the ring. These women want less effort with the greater rewards in return. And that does not work.
The thing is, Meg The Stallion never, and like I said, she's never publicly, to my understanding, I'll correct her wrong, she's never publicly stated about, or I don't know, has she ever talked about wanting to be married? I mean, I thought her brand was all about.
She don't give off as a person that wants to be married.
So then that's not even, it's a whole different conversation. But hey, okay, let me stop playing this video, then I'm gonna have to do final thoughts, and then I'm gonna have to wrap this up.
Okay.
Why it is important to do that. I think on a deeper level, Black women are tired of seeing other Black women be chewed up and spit out by evil, diabolical narratives from men, and also tired of seeing really brilliant, beautiful Black women become collateral damage to the nefarious and selfish and violent actions of men. We look at Megan, we see ourselves, our sisters, our friends. We see an opportunity to publicly, loudly declare, protect Black women, believe Black women. We see an artist that in kind returns that understands deeply what this is and what this means, that it is in fact that deep.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go.
Yeah, so what is it that Meg The Stallion makes you want to protect Black women or believe Black women? And you said yourself that she lies. So they're obviously looking at Meg The Stallion and seeing something very, very, very different.
They are. Yeah, no, very, very different. And I've broken that down before. But they're seeing something completely different. Men are just like industry pass around. That's it. That's what men are seeing. And women are like, oh, this is a woman who represents me. She's evolving. She has power. She has control. She has dominance. She has the WAP. At the same time, she's able to get this stable, light-skinned, high-value, handsome, attractive man who loves her and treats her like a queen, or so they thought. And so her, her heart being broken after she's gone on this long journey to find herself and advocate for Black women and mental health. That's what she said. Her heart being broken is like, that's something that they can connect with because that's how they feel about themselves to a certain extent.
Okay, that's kind of strange because I can tell you, I'm not light skinned, but my cousin is, and he's broken a lot of hearts. And if they think that, they had everything in the universe and it's secure because they have a WAP, then, he'll tell you that meant very little to him. It just meant something to him at the time. At the time, right. One of my mom's side of the family, they're all light skinned. And they're light bright light skin. So completely different than my dad's side. They're all dark skinned. But this colorism conversation is quite interesting. It's just interesting how I see it play out in real life. And then I just think about my anecdotal experiences. I'm like, huh. Well, but I don't even. So you're saying that being light skinned is part of his appeal to the sisterhood? I think so. Okay. I think so because I think there's something particularly jarring. That's not to say that a brown or a dark skinned Black man can't. You look at Derek Jackson. Listen, I'm like, if a man is attractive, he's attractive. Agreed, but I think there's something specifically about a very light skinned man that has close proximity to whiteness. Like, for example, one of my uncles is very light skinned. If he shaves his head, he could pass. He has and he's fully Black, but he's light eyes,
He's very, very fair and shaved head. He looks just like a typical white dude, honestly.
Mhm.
And his experience has been a lot different to a certain extent than like my dad, who's very dark skinned. You know what I mean? And it's like unambiguously black. And so I'm saying that because like women, I've had women even talk about that in my family, being like how they've noticed that the men in their own family, based upon their skin complexion, have had different experiences. And what that was like going out with your light skinned so and so brother or uncle or whatever versus your dark skinned cousin or whatever. You know what I mean? And so women who value light skin as in their brain as a proximity to whiteness, I think that is going to hit them subconsciously in a way that an attractive brother breaking their heart may not. I'm talking about those with a divested mindset kind of thing.
Okay.
Or
I didn't know that women had a physical preference towards light skinned guys. But
it depends.
No, it depends. but no, what you're saying, it would make sense that they would hide that from society because then there will be a great hypocrisy there. Also, it would mean that the colorism crybaby, or I think you had a name for the particular hater that you have in your midst, but that person, it would mean that she's projecting, that the whole time she's projecting her own issues and physical preference for light skin onto black men, because more or less, go for it.
No, I'm just agreeing with you. I think her entire brand is that's why the Exoticals were birthed as a way to call out the hypocrisy that you just mentioned. Literally, how they were birthed.
No, that's twist. I mean, no, they were right to hide it from me. I'm like, wait a minute, if you have a preference, then why are you attacking a group of people with the same preference? Especially me, I don't really have that particular preference. At least I don't think. But I mean, you grew up where I grew up. Did the guys really show that was a thing?
No, I tend to personally. This is me personally. I tend to think that black women are more color struck than black men. That's just okay. That's my yeah. I think men generally. I think black men particularly. They're like, if she look good, she look good.
Yeah.
Now, you may have some guys who are like, oh, I can really appreciate a dark skinned woman, or I really like, they may have little things here and there, but I think generally speaking, they're just like, if she look good, she look good. That's it. But I think black women are the ones, and I say this because black women are the one who consistently actually talk about dark skin all the time. That dominates female YouTube. It just does. So for that reason alone, I'm like, y'all are the ones, more so than anything, that matters to.
So it is projection. That's telling. That's very sad. So, but I do think that, in spite of him being light skinned, I do think that it's more of the power of the WAP has come into question.
Right. Absolutely.
With these actions, she's not supposed to lose because she followed the formula. This is, first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the light skinned men, I guess. But it didn't happen that way, and now they have to change up the strategy and maybe learn how to get a sandwich and make a pie. They don't like that thought. They're scared of it.
Oh, you know what? So here's a real quick video. This is a black woman talking about, you see it.
Oh, my video keeps stopping. And it might be a sign of the way I feel. And I know I sometimes shouldn't feel this way. But I woke up today and I asked myself, just being honest, like, what is it, Sharice, that you don't like about yourself? What are some things that you can fix? What are some things that you think you could change about yourself? Or you just don't like? And the only thing I could think about was, a lot of the times I hate that I'm dark skinned, because I'm always feeling like I'm in a constant battle. I'm always trying to fight to prove a point. to make myself fit in.
All right. So just some more evidence for you.
Well, what is she? What point was she trying to prove, or does she feel that she have to?
I don't.
It's very bizarre behavior.
I think you're trying to make sense of this logically, and I think maybe what you're missing is that these ladies, they do things not necessarily sometimes for logical reasons, but because they're trying to find emotional support. What would have been good maybe in that moment is like, oh, you know, a woman in the comments just like, oh my gosh, I understand. I feel the same way, or I felt the same way before, or I am there with you. So it's more about like the emotional validation of like, I hear you. It's not like they're looking for a solution. It's not like they're looking for something to solve or anything. It's like, I'm looking for someone else who can resonate with me in this emotional space.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand the need for emotional fulfillment, but I don't. But she's actually acting. You know, she's like, I'm fighting for, you know, validation, or, you know, something. She used the verb, and, you know, to me, if I've seen somebody do that and I have no idea that she's fighting for a dark skin validation, I would just assume that she's crazy, which would go into the, you know, stereotypes that a lot of Black women create for themselves. It's like, you know, okay, you obviously have this self-image, this negative self-image, and, you know, there's healthier ways to deal with it, but it seems like you lash out against society and society lashes back, and then you cry that we're not protecting. They're creating a lot of these problems for themselves, which is unfortunate. It really is. And her situation, like she records in a car and she got people knocking on the window, like, you know, she's parked in somebody else's parking lot. It was like recording and crying. Like, that's her way of lashing out.
As I mentioned before, I mean, you mentioned Kelly Rowland. Yeah, I remember that's a prime example. I mean, there have been so many Black men who have not only been crushing on Black women who are like darker skin, but dark skin with like, quote, who don't benefit from the isms, who don't benefit from featureism, who have like broader features. Like, even if you think of Serena Williams, like the way Black men were like drooling over her for the longest, you know what I mean? Like, so there's been a documented history of Black men loving, appreciating Black features. Just the problem becomes that these ladies oftentimes they want validation from non-Black men, and they don't always get the same validation from those non-Black men. And I think
but they do. I mean, even when they do, they're not happy.
From non-Black men, not in the same level not in the same level that they do from Black men.
True, but hear me out, because I don't think that there's enough validation to validate them.
No, there's not. Like I said, these are
no matter the race.
Yeah, there's not. I do agree with that.
But yeah, I disagree with you about Serena Williams. I've never been into the bralette physique on a woman, or on anyone, but I mean, I've never been into that particular physique. She's not my type, but there was a dark-skinned woman who, or girl maybe, she played second to Laura London on For Real's video, Just Frontin'. And I thought that she was way more attractive than Laura London.
Yeah, no, and I understand I'm not saying Serena Williams was everybody, but I mean, she was featured on Black Men's Magazine. Black men talked about having her up as a poster child. My point was, you know, just like we've had this conversation, there are plenty of Black men out there, you may not like them, but there are plenty of Black men out there who are completely okay being with a plus size woman. And some actually prefer them. Some of those guys are listening to me right now. They prefer a woman that's a little thick with it. You know what I mean?
No. My cousin is like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was more making a general point where, like you said, the issue is actually not lack of desire or validation, particularly in the Black male community, because they can get that. And even what's her name, the colorful catfish, she said that in her videos. And she was just like, we've never complained about not getting attention from Black men. We can all get attention from Black men. So I'm like, okay, so you're clearly telling on your point, because you can't sit here and say, oh, colorism, featureism, texturism, because you're admitting You're admitting yourself as someone who doesn't benefit from the isms that you still get attention from black men. So the issue was clearly that you're not getting attention from the men that y'all want. That's the issue. Hence the exoticals who are just like, yeah, y'all are mad at us because we embrace our pretty privilege.
Yeah. Yeah, even though in a quote unquote exotical is not necessarily pretty, they do want affirmative action attention from me, essentially, which means that they get first priority. The darker skinned woman gets first priority at male attention and validation, which is completely absurd. The more beautiful women gets more attention from me because she deserves it for being born that way. And life is not fair in that regard. And we as men shouldn't apologize for it. And we owe her nothing. And when I say her, I'm talking about the woman crying in the car. Like you can't cry. Okay, so Shay Charlotte, I'm pretty sure you have some unmarried, more promiscuous friends.
Yes.
Who have they ever given it up because a man cried that he wasn't getting enough?
No.
So why would they think that would work with me or any man? Why would they think that, like, oh, I feel sorry for her, let me marry her? Like, what is that? It doesn't work that way either. Like, you don't get anything. If you're not hot enough for the pretty privilege, then you're not hot enough for the pretty privilege. I didn't get into Berkeley. Did I cry to admissions? Like, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's, you don't.
You're taking it on the. You're basically saying take it on the chest. You're not all Inoki eye. One of you guys mentioned there in the chats. You're not all supermodels. Okay, that's fine. Not every man's a millionaire. Okay, life goes on. Like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna have to wrap this up. I know we kind of went on a few tangents, but we covered off a few things. Do you guys have any final thoughts? And then, you guys, you can go, and then I'll finish up these super chats. If you want to go chaos,
you got to chaos.
I'm trying to think of something, man. A lot of things came to my mind. I was quiet a bit. Say something quickly, Jay. It'll come back to me. Hold on, I'm trying to think.
No worries. If you don't have anything either, it's fine. It was just more if there was something that was like pressing or something that you meant to say earlier that you weren't able to.
With these ladies and the crash out, right? And even the one woman that's been, I guess, going against black women now, they said that she can't turn and show her true colors. I don't know if you saw that video.
There's plenty of videos, so I'm not.
But well, they say she has a forehead, but it comes to the fact that a lot of women, they want an outcome, right? They're still black women at the end of the day, Shay. They gotta look for the best interests of black women. Let's be honest. So, even for a lot of dudes that think that this is the one that's pushing back against the sisterhood, we gotta stop it, man. Listen, every woman has their own turmoils and agenda why they're here. You get me? In regards to Meg The Stallion, she's that persona of ratchetness that should be a so-called wife. We all know Meg did not really proclaim that she wants to be wife to no man. Let's be honest. Her lyrics explains what she really is. She's a woman that likes to share, man. Let's keep real. Too many songs that came out talking about she'll steal your man and share man, and this is what happens, and this is the result. She has not met the wrong black woman on the wrong day when she does these type of things, and she gonna meet some woman that's gonna fight her in real person. They don't care how tall or what she is, and she'll get dealt with severely. And I think that's what's gonna happen in the long run with a lot of these women. They go around, mess around, sleeping with other people's husbands or boyfriends, and it's coming. I have a feeling it's coming, and when it comes up, it's gonna make headway on social media. We're gonna talk about until the sun goes down when this happens, because she gives off that vibe. She is a side piece chick. Oh, you said something?
No, I said I don't know if I'll be talking about it that long, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, she's a side piece chick. So I'm hoping that this is the last of it. Maybe we'll stop talking about as the new week start. Hopefully, I'm praying, because I talk about I'm done with it. I don't waste too much time on this crap. because I talk about it because it was somewhat trending, and it seemed like it showed and put a bigger picture to a lot of black women think that they're going to go out in these streets and then think they're going to come home to some dudes and forgot the suckers, the simps, the pool of men that will entertain us is no longer there. And the saddest thing about all this, women are very triggered and mad that this is a half a Cartwright that did this, a beige one that did this. He did not follow and got suckered in. Even to rumors that says she wanted $700K a month. I said, you don't qualify for that. Like literally, who are you to ask for a man that make for his career 140 million to roughly 300 million throughout his playing career to give you a check of $700K a month? And she's talking about this is for upkeeps. If this is true, baby, nothing is going to upkeep you for 700K. All that is for you is going to probably pocket the money just to pay off any debt or even give a percentage back to Rock Nation. Do you know she has to pay Rock Nation? And Rock Nation not really benefit with her right now. That's why they do all this to clear image.
I'm not sure.
But, yeah, she is a dude right now with the Rock Nation right now in regards to money. Don't be fooled that they said she's a millionaire. She's not that doing well because her tour is not doing well, and now this little rebranding is not doing well. So let's think about that.
Yeah. All right, Catherine. Well, thank you for joining. I'm gonna have to wrap this up. Just wanted to make sure to talk. Thanks for joining. You take care. Okay, Game Changer, what you got?
Okay, so you can't be Meg The Stallion and Ayesha Curry at the same time. You just can't. Mm-hmm. She definitely wanted to do what she did, live her life how she lived, and then retire the Ayesha Curry way, right down to the light-skinned basketball player husband. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily work out that way because unlike Steph, it seems like Klay, is not as carnally disciplined, which is the type of man.
He plays a field. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm kind of feeding back up what you said. Yeah, no, he definitely seems like he plays the field. Steph Curry, he's like, he tries to be a stand-up man. He's open about his faith. He has a wife, kid, so.
Yeah, exactly. So he's more, presumably, at least he's more adept at keeping a secret, if he is, but he definitely appears to be a lot more carnally disciplined. Mm-hmm. And it's ironic because the very thing that attracted Klay to you is what took him away from you. His lack of carnal discipline. He's seen something and he went after it, and undoubtedly that person will see something again and go after that, and continuous process. So her dreams of being Ayesha and Meg The Stallion doesn't seem to come into fruition. But also, the women who follow her doctrine, they really, when you talk about the power that they're seeking, they really just want to dictate what your dictates. And they've come to realize that in this particular instance, as well as others in their own personal life, that it doesn't necessarily work out that way. Mm-hmm. So they find themselves a little just stuck without direction right now. And, they're disheartened and they are lashing out at someone, in this case, particularly black men. But it is what it is, Sometimes a woman gets cheated on, and it doesn't have to be Meg The Stallion. It happens to, it happens to anybody. It can happen to anyone. There's nothing personal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I agree. Well, thanks for hanging out again, Game Changer. Always good to chat. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, you have a good night.
You too. Goodbye.
Okay. All right, guys. So I want to make sure. Shout out to Malarkey with the 5. It's his sister Shay. Are you getting my? Yeah. So I'm sorry. I just messaged you on X or Twitter, or however people like to call it. I was not getting those messages. I just went in my inbox now and I see, but for some reason, like if I look at my inbox when I log in, it didn't show that I had any messages. So I don't know what that was about, but yeah. So sorry about that. Okay, here at 15 again. Shout out to Malarkey. It says, "Good morning, Shay, from across the pond in the UK, adding to the collection pot as usual and encouraging others to do so. No one should provide their services for free. Pay up, folks." Thank you. I appreciate your support. You're always showing love and support whenever you can. It means a lot. You've been one of my longest supporters coming in from the UK, so it means a ton. It says, "The most valuable things a man provides is his strength and protection." Thank you. Shout out to you, Broken Genius, with the 5. And then the 18th letter, another longtime supporter. It says, shout out to Shay for covering this self-delusional madness. These ladies reaching tooth and nail to defend Meg and her horrendous reputation. Again, appreciate the love and support. It says, I am a Loho announcer divorced from her husband. Yeah, I did see that. I might have to do another video, not necessarily an I am a Loho, but on this trend that I'm seeing of a lot of ladies, particularly I noticed this trend of like God first, Jesus only, Christian, I pray, whatever, influencers who are divorcing their husbands. And I'm like, I understand. Listen, things happen. We never really fully know about the situation. But what I do know is that, anybody who is ascribing to being a Christ follower and marrying under God doesn't like flippantly get divorced. So I always scratch my head at women who are very open about like God being with them and they're dating and they're in their marriage, dating and courting process. But then the same God also telling them to get a divorce. And I'm like, last I checked, the Bible is very clear that God hates divorce. like if Jesus was telling you to marry that man, you mean that same Jesus couldn't tell you whether or not that man was a good husband or not? Like that's just, I'm seeing this trend and something just to me is not adding up because I'm like, it's not reflective of actually somebody who would really be in a God marriage. Like, yeah, but that's a whole other tangent. I'm not necessarily picking on her particularly. I'm just saying I feel like on my algorithm I've seen this trend of like, so these are women of God who are alleged to be women of God who are of the faith talking about, oh, God told me to divorce my husband. And I'm like, which God are we talking about? Because last I checked, that's nothing that you just do flippantly because dude got bad breath or because he yelled at you and you just ain't gonna take it no more. Like that's not how this works. So, but that's another conversation for another day. I don't want to get too deep into it without providing some context. So, anyways, and again, that's no shade on I am a Loho. I don't really know her full situation. I might have to go back and check out that video a bit. But okay. What else are we looking at? Let me see. I think I got everything. Yeah, it says it's Twitter, Black Twitter. I think I got the rest of the super chats. So we went over a lot today. I know we kind of took a few tangents, but if we were to recap anything, we talked a little bit about how this whole situation with Meg The Stallion and Klay Thompson ultimately sparked an online gender war. Now there's debate over whether or not this is completely organic or whether some of it is fabricated. I tend to believe some of it is fabricated as a way to just keep people distraction from more important things, such as like what's going on in the nation, socially, politically, economically, what's going on with Black America specifically. I mentioned the Voting Rights Act recently being rescinded and what that's going to mean in the upcoming months, years, how that could impact Black Americans. And so to me, the best way to keep Black people from actually working together and organizing is to keep them at odds. And I'm like, now more than ever, with the way I feel like the American economy in particular is progressing, or some would argue digressing, now more than ever, I think it's important to actually have a community, to build a community, to have a support system, to not be at odds, to not be bickering and fighting and hating, but to actually have something cohesive and to have a fail-safe. Now more than ever, it's not the time to try to do things individualistically. It's to actually learn how to get along. And so I'm looking at what's going on in the nation, and I'm looking at what's happening online, and I'm like, yeah, I do think some of this might be as a way to keep people divided, because when you can do that, then there's just going to be less pushback. But even outside of that, outside of the context of what's actually really going on and impacting people's lives, because let it be clear, Klay Thompson and Meg The Stallion's relationship is not impacting anyone's life. It's just not. It's impacting their lives. That's it. But the bigger context is this has become another reason, in my opinion, for, if I talk from the perspective of women, those who are misandrous, it's become another reason for those who were already misandrous to just further promote misandry. Because if you come to the conclusion that, oh, because a celebrity broke up, because a man, a athlete, a professional athlete at that, cheated on a celebrity who's got like a self-proclaimed party girl, city girl, if that gave you a reason to go full-blown misandry and to write off all men as horrible and as hating Black women, I'm like, you already had that belief. You already were there with it. You already were misandrous. You already didn't like Black men. You already were distrusting them. You already had negative views about them. So you were just looking for a reason. You were looking for a reason to further prove your point. And so these kind of situations, to me, what they do is they more reveal where people are coming from, or they more reveal general sentiments that people have than anything. Because best believe, a woman who was in a satisfying relationship, even if it's not romantic, right? But even if a Black woman who has had positive, satisfying relationships with maybe her husband or brother or cousins or friends or Black men in her life, period, she's not going to allow a random breakup from celebrities and a few comments online from people she's never met to completely shape her ideal of Black men. She's not going to do that. She's going to be like, y'all people online are crazy, or whatever's going on with those celebrities are crazy, right? But she has her own real life to show her every single day that not all Black men are like that. So when I see women who go online and they traffic in misandry, I'm like, okay, y'all are already showing your true colors. Something else they missed again is how, and Edward Anderson talked about this. What we're missing is the revisionist history. They're making it seem as if Black men are just going out of their way to try to attack a Black woman, in this case, Meg The Stallion, and that Black men are just being completely abrasive and rude, and they're celebrating the downfall of Meg The Stallion. I wouldn't say that that's completely true. The context is Meg The Stallion is a self-proclaimed city girl, a self-proclaimed hoe, who promotes hoe culture and promotes dominating men through hoe culture in her music. And so somebody with that brand who ends up, or someone with the brand of promiscuity, someone who has a brand that promotes being promiscuous and being a hoe, end up being treated like one. You have a lot of dudes who are just like, see, we've been trying to tell you, because a lot of ladies have this belief in their brain that they should be able to go and sleep around and do whatever these artists are telling them to do. And then when they're ready, there's going to be another Russell Wilson waiting for them. That's what these ladies believe. And that's what Meg The Stallion, that's what she was promoting and living. Her relationship with Klay Thompson was kind of like, okay, the happy ending they were hoping that Ciara was going to have, right? So when it broke up, guys are just like, we told y'all that WAP isn't enough. We told you that you can't go around and promote being a hoe and promote doing all these things and then think you're going to have a housewife ending. That's not how this works. And so I saw what some, I'm not saying all, but I saw what some many men were being like, hey, we told y'all this. That was being translated as, oh, y'all hate Black women. And I'm like, I don't think that's necessarily true. Another big context we're missing is that we can't pretend also as if Meg The Stallion's reputation with Black men has been spotless. This relationship came shortly after the whole situation where Tory Lanez was put behind bars for 10 years. And many people who have followed the case, even briefly, know that the case was very messy. And it's very, very, very likely that she was not innocent, or that she was not innocent in the way that she claimed to be. And this is the same woman who actually admitted to lying on Gayle King about Tory Lanez, right? And so I'm saying that because the context is that this Meg The Stallion is a woman who has a documented history of doing things that are openly disrespectful to Black men. And so some of the disdain or some of the negativity that women are running into as with respect to Meg The Stallion has less to do with them hating all Black women and has more to do with the fact that she has a documented history of actually doing things that are against Black men. And there are Black men who are reacting to that, right? But like I said, instead of seeing things within context, it's like, oh, well, if you're attacking Meg The Stallion, you're attacking all Black men. And it's like, no, they may actually be attacking the messaging or the toxic brand that she represents. Like me, I don't like her brand. I mean, I don't have a problem with her personally, but her brand, what she represents, I take issue with. So a man calling that out is that. Or you have men who are attacking the fact that she has a history of doing things that are misandrous against Black men. A black man calling that out doesn't mean that they hate all black women. It's they're addressing those behaviors. And so they like to sometimes revise or remove the context of what's going on to create a narrative as if black men are going out of their way to always attack black women. And that's just not true. Yeah, there are some probably weird, kooky guys online who are just strange. You're going to find that anywhere on the internet. That goes without saying. But we can't like act as if black men are going out of their ways trying to actively hunt down black women and humiliate them. Especially not with somebody like Meg The Stallion, especially not with somebody who's actively done things to humiliate herself, in my humble opinion. That's not how this works. So anyways, that's what I see with this whole thing. I think it's just another reason to keep people divided. It's another reason to drive misunderstanding and misconception. Ultimately, if you know, not all black men are out here trying to hate on black women. And like I said, I don't think all black women are out here rocking with Meg The Stallion. They're not. I'm speaking up partially because I just want to represent those who are not rocking with all of the, from my understanding, all of the lasciviousness, all of just the nastiness that I feel like Meg The Stallion promotes in her brand. I don't rock with that. That does not speak to me as a black woman. She is not my mascot. Unlike what this woman said in this TikTok video when she's like, "Oh, Meg The Stallion speaks for black women." Like, she does not speak for black women. She don't speak for me. I don't rock with this, whatever this Lilith, what she was talking about, Lilith, Scorpio, Tarot. I don't rock with that. That's not who I represent. Okay. I'm not worshiping Lilith. Okay. I worship Christ, and there are very clear guidelines associated with that. I don't believe in going around and talking about using your WAP to try to control men. I don't promote that. I'm not promoting, sleeping with women one day and then men, okay, and then maybe I'm gonna take your man the next day, okay, and then maybe I'm gonna try to be a housewife on Thursday, but on Friday, if you get on my nerves, I'm gonna go back. Like, see, I don't do that. Being a hoe is not reflective of black femininity. And I wish I want more women to like take that in their break. Like, you being a black woman does not have to be associated with being a hoe or being a city girl. And that's what I don't like about her brand. It's like as if they try to conflate the two, as if to be black is to be into some like Lilith tarot cards, sex positive, hoe city girl culture. And I'm like, absolutely no way. That's not being a black woman. That's just what you want to do over there. I'm gonna put y'all in a category over there. Okay. And I'm not trying to usurp and control men, like what she talks about in those songs. That's disorderly. That's spiritual disorder. You want to sit here and control men, but then you mad you ain't being protected. You're not even willing to listen and respect the people that you want to protect you. It don't make no sense. But anyways, I go on a tangent. I gotta go, y'all. I'm rambling now. Just wanted y'all to know what's going on here. And a lot of this stuff, like I said, it's just a distraction. So don't believe the lies. Don't believe the lies. Whatever women already hated men, we're going to find another reason to do it. But if you know, you know. So thank y'all for hanging out. This was super last minute. But it was good because it's been a minute since I've had a chance to do a live talk with you guys. It's been cool. Shout out to you also I saw another super chat come through. What's going on to the Shay? Keep the good content coming. Salute. Thank you so much for the 5. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming through with the love and support. Like, share, subscribe. Also, if you haven't already, check me out on Substack. It's been getting real busy over there on Substack. Shout out to some of my new members. I saw that I got a new member. I got some more content coming to you guys. None, I think it's none. So I don't even know how to say that, but shout out to you with the N. And shout out to everybody who's been joining me on Friday, last minute, real impromptu, chilling. So I was like, I'm just chilling. Let's talk, but I got to go now. So thank you, fam. And yeah, we will talk later. Check out my other videos on this topic. Some of you guys, it seems like you guys didn't get it. So if you want the whole backstory, my last like 3-4 videos break it down. Also, check out my video on Black Femicide, where when we actually break down, or honestly, we revisit, because I talked about Black Femicide a few years ago, we revisit the numbers, the data, and the reality around Black Femicide and what's actually going on. Thank you guys so much for listening, if you've gotten this far, and we're going to talk later, okay? Peace out, everybody.